And afterwards, it was one of those things where you just sit there for a while going, did I just freaking see this? And I knew the importance of what I was sitting there watching. And then me and my buddy got drunker than hell. Had to celebrate.
Exactly, absolutely, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, below of America!
And now, ladies and gentlemen, Banal of America Audio, with your host, Tim Banal.
What is going on, my friends? This is Tim Banal of banalofamerica.com with the return of BOA Audio Season 5 and the 2010 BOA Audio Baseball Special. It is great to be back. I really missed the program quite a bit, but did enjoy my downtime as well. I'm feeling refreshed. I'm looking forward to rolling out a whole plethora of esoteric conversations that we've recorded over the last few weeks for all you great folks out there over the course of the next few weeks and months to come. And we have got something really awesome here for you this week as we celebrate the return of BOA Audio. We've got not just the 2010 BOA Audio Baseball Special, but we've also got a pure esoteric edition of the program coming at you in a couple of days. Yes, it's a double episode week. In total, counting the baseball special and the pure paranormal edition of BOA Audio, we've got 10 guests for you here in 1 week. Unbelievable stuff. I'm hugely excited about this and can't wait to unleash the madness on the BOA Audio listeners. Even though the non-baseball fans probably aren't even listening to this right now, I'll preview briefly the pure paranormal edition of the program you'll be hearing in a few short days. Our guests for that program will be Bill and Nancy Burns of UFO Magazine and UFO Hunters fame. I'll give you an in-depth preview of that at the end of the program. Suffice it to say, it is a fun and fast conversation with two major power players in the world of UFO studies. And in addition to Bill and Nancy Burns, we're also going to have a stop and chat mini interview with Micah A. Hanks, talking about his new book, Magic, Mysticism, and the Molecule. So 3 guests on that upcoming edition of BOA Audio, which you're going to hear in a few short days. And here on the 2010 BOA Audio Baseball Special, you're going to be hearing from 7 guests, 6 esoteric superstars, and 1 special guest as well. So the big return of BOA Audio here this week, featuring 10 guests total over the course of 1 week, plus the 3D Lost cast. I don't have much to say about that, except for those folks who've been enjoying the Lost cast, you definitely want to tune in this week as we go 3D to celebrate the return of BOA Audio. Now that we got all those plugs out of the way, let me give you a brief preview of what you're going to hear this year on the 2010 BOA Audio Baseball Special. As I said, 7 guests, 6 of them esoteric superstars, plus a special guest from the BOA Forum. You're going to be hearing from the 2009 BOA Audio Baseball champion Lauren Coleman, as well as the 08 champion Richard Dolan, plus longtime friends of the program Greg Bishop, Adam Gorightly, and Paul Kimball. And we've got a newcomer to the BOA Audio Baseball Special, and he is none other than popular paranormal writer and previous BOA Audio guest Jason Offutt. And for our special guest here on this year's festivities, we have got from the official BOA forum, the USofE.com, a poster who goes by the name of Mystery Man. And the reason why we've got Mystery Man here on the program is because when he posted his predictions for the 2009 baseball season, he scored an astounding 7 out of 11, bested all of the esoteric superstars of the 09 baseball special, and I thought that the ultimate reward for such a performance was to invite him to appear on the 2010 BOA Audio Baseball Special. that brings me to something I do want to plug here before we kick off this year's big event, and that is that, much like last year, we've opened up the prediction contest to the denizens of the official BOA forum, the usofe.com, and the BOA audio listeners who may just want to enter into the contest via email. Unlike last year, we've added an additional prize to the contest. The winner of the US of E's version of the prediction contest gets an invitation to appear on the 2011 BOA Audio Baseball Special. So the stakes have been raised higher than ever before here for the big prediction contest. So if you are interested in throwing your hat into the ring and trying to win the contest, just go to the official BOA forum, theusofe.com, theusofe.com, or just click one of the many links you can find at Banal of America to enter into the contest, or shoot me your picks via email, and I'll post them in the thread so that they are officially counted. I think that takes care of business altogether. I could sit here for a while and preview what you're going to be hearing here on the 2010 BOA Audio Baseball Special, but that would really take quite a bit of time. It is jam-packed, so there's not much more for me to say here. Obviously, we're going to eschew biographies, or else I'd be here all day talking to you. Once again, let me roll through the lineup of guests, and then we'll get down to business. Lauren Coleman, Richard Dolan, Greg Bishop, Adam Gorightly, Paul Kimball, Jason Offit, and the usofe.com's Mystery Man. 7 guests, 6 esoteric superstars, and our special guest from the BOA Forum. It is the 2010 BOA Audio Baseball Special, so without any further ado, my friends, let's play ball. These interviews were recorded over the course of about 10 days, from March 25th to April 3rd. It's the 2010 Baseball Special on BOA Audio, Season 5.
You're listening to Banal of America Audio. Ladies and gentlemen, we are kicking off the 2010 BOA Audio Baseball Special with the winner of the 2009 prediction contest, Lauren Coleman. Congratulations to him. He narrowly bested Greg Bishop. It was tied, and we had to go to the transposed picks, also known as the Kimball rule, which resulted in the championship being awarded to Lauren Coleman. Of course, we got to give a shout-out and congrats to the US of E's Mystery Man, who beat everybody in the competition with 7 out of 11. He'll be on the show later on. But since Lauren was actually on the baseball special, he's the champion this year. So congratulations, Lauren, the 2009 BOA Audio Baseball Special champion. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm still waiting for my Red Sox season tickets. Isn't that the prize you promised? No, I'm just kidding. No, it's always a lot of fun, and I'm glad to do it again.
Well, we have a lot to talk about this year. First of all, before we do that, let's plug the museum, because you finally got the International Cryptozoology Museum opened up there in Portland, Maine. So, tell people about that so they know what's going on with that.
Well, for 6 years, I had the Cabinet of Curiosities, the International Cryptozoology Museum, in my home, and documentary film companies and researchers and people would make appointments. But the whole thing is that I needed to go public. So I went public in November. The first date, even though we did the upfront bookstore didn't have all the licenses and gear, I wasn't doing the same thing she was. So I had 82 visitors from as far away as Baltimore and Boston. And then on the grand opening, we had 300 people. So we've been going along at a really nice clip, especially on Saturdays when the weather's good. And I have a feeling that the tourist season is going to be very nice to us, because Portland's, of course, a great place to visit.
Oh, yeah. And I was up there probably a couple days after the grand opening. I had quite a good time, so
yeah,
I'm looking forward to checking it out now that you guys have been up and running for a few months, and see how it's evolved over the last few months. I bet it's even better than it was when I first got there, because things were still in a transition. I remember she was still unpacking the boxes and stuff in the front of the bookstore, so...
Yeah, well, we certainly, in the museum, we change things about once every 3 days. We had new things like a paranthropus bust, or a giant elephant bird egg, and there's just new exhibits all the time, and we're changing over all of the old bookshelves that we had to move in to glass-fronted display cases, so that it's nice to see it slowly evolving but always changing. Because one thing I know about cryptozoology, it never is boring to me. So I really try to reflect that in the passion and changes in the museum.
Yeah, there was a real sense of excitement up there when I was there this past November. So, like I said, I'm looking forward to making another trip up there this spring, and I hope the BOA Audio listeners who are in the area definitely should check it out as well. And you're there, so it's like, they can bother you with all their cryptozoology questions. So.
Right, exactly. But I still close at 6 o'clock so I can get home and watch the Red Sox when they have an evening game.
Absolutely. I have a feeling the radio will be on during the day games this year. So.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, so we have a lot to talk about. The Red Sox, big shakeups this year. As I was saying to my brother back in November, before the off season started, it was like they were tenuous at best in a whole bunch of different positions, and now they're starting the season with a new third baseman, a new shortstop, a new center fielder. They moved Ellsbury to left field, so it's quite a shakeup, and obviously a new starting pitcher in John Lackey, and also Victor Martinez for the full season. So it's like practically a whole new team in a lot of ways, or at least a big part of the core has changed. How are you feeling about the team, as the season's about to begin?
Well, I'm always very happy with the Red Sox, and they seem to make intelligent choices. If we are to believe what they're saying, they really wanted to strengthen their defense. They wanted to strengthen their pitching, and I think they did that. The worry, of course, across the Red Sox nation is there enough hitting?
Yeah.
And we've certainly seen that Ortiz is coming back a little bit in spring training. He's hitting the long balls, and so that's giving hope to people. But I still, I'm somewhat cautious. I think, you don't live and breathe the Red Sox ball games without being cautious all the time. And, to see Dice-K's having problems already with his back and his neck and, and stuff like that. Wakefield's going to be in the starting rotation. It's interesting. I think still they do have, if they're all healthy, the best starting rotation in baseball.
Absolutely, for sure. I'll be interested to see how the bullpen shakes out, because I haven't heard too much about it, but I know they lost a couple of key parts of the bullpen.
Well, if you look at the recent stuff, they've got Embry back, and he gave up like 3 earned runs in a half inning or something. I mean, very, very, kind of shaky about their bullpen.
Yeah.
Let's hope that Bard will come through and be the middle relief, and Papelbon seems really mean and lean. So.
Yeah. You made a big point here that I've noticed too. It seemed like, like at the start of spring training, there was a lot of talk about the lack of Red Sox offense, and then it seems like almost like as if there's been this like PR rebound or push back from certain areas where they're saying, not so fast. Their offense is going to be okay, all this other stuff. So I guess we'll have to wait and see how it shakes out. I mean, I haven't watched too many spring training games, but they're hard to gauge anyway, because you never know. If you see the final score, you don't know if those runs were scored like in the 8th inning when it was all minor leaguers playing, or if it happened at the beginning of the game or not. So.
And I think there's something psychologically going to happen with Ellsbury. To be moved from his position that he loves, the center field, to left field, he'll now, you've seen, he's really kind of becoming a little Ted Williams. He still can steal the bases, but he's going for the occasional home run. And that's kind of interesting because he's in left field, he's going to think, well, maybe, Yaz and Ted Williams had a good idea out here. I'll just hit some home runs, too.
Yeah, it seems like he has deceptive power. And I've heard them say, like, on the commentary that the Red Sox don't want him to try and hit for power, which seems kind of counterintuitive, but I trust their baseball acumen better than mine, so.
Right, because he's lead off.
Yeah,
because he's lead off, they don't want him to just get on base.
Now, what about our hated rivals, the Yankees?
Well, I think the Yankees are definitely, the team to beat in the East. They're still, fully packed and ready to go. I don't really put too much emotion in getting angry at them anymore. I really think that we all should really be happy that there is a Derek Jeter in the league, because he certainly is a good baseball player. kind of I can hate the Yankees, but I can't hate Derek Jeter.
Yeah.
And yet, A-Rod's coming around. He's done his little, I've confessed my steroids thing and survived that. So, they seem to be solid. And if you want my choices already about how they're going to come out, I already can tell you that, or you want to wait till the end?
We can get to that in a minute.
Okay.
I do feel like there's less of a buzz around the Yankees this year, probably because they didn't make all the off-season acquisitions that they did last year. Feels sort of like business as usual for them. So we'll see if that translates into continued success or what. But they did lose, I think, two key parts to the team, Damon and Matsui. So.
Right. And I think that they'll be sorry about the Matsui loss because I have a feeling he's going to have a good year.
I think so, yeah. And I think Damon, he's deceptively good, I think. So I think they may regret that as well. But I guess that new center fielder they have now is going to be really good too, so.
Right.
The guy from Detroit.
Yeah, and I think the whole business about Hughes and Joba, is the whole bullpen upset. They seem to have these emotions that are right simmering underneath the edge, the top, the bottom, and over at the fringe. And I just have this feeling that there's this emotional part of the Yankees that the publicity or the Yankees system certainly hides. But it seems to come out towards the end when people start tripping over each other somewhat.
Now, were you surprised this year by the Ortiz revelations that came out in July? I was kind of surprised just how it was handled and how it seemed like, in a way he kind of got a pass. And it was a little bit better stage managed, I think, than any of these other sort of leaks that we've seen.
Yeah, I certainly think so. And I think that it kind of finally hit a lot of the baseball writers that so quickly came out, to really come down so hard on some of the earlier. I mean, even Mark McGuire and Clemens and people like that, the testimony, I think, was handled very badly in the publicity. And it seems like kind of what we're finally acknowledging among the general public and the media is that a lot of guys were doing this. It was the era. They were taking things. They were being given things. A lot of them are the Caribbean players certainly sometimes seem to have kind of not great advice from some of their doctors and handlers. And maybe we should just kind of consider that this was the era thing and really get over it. I do think that it is interesting, like Jim Rice getting in the Hall of Fame. That kind of reaction is going to start happening where some of those players, the old players that were doing kind of pretty good but not, astronomical numbers, are going to get in the Hall of Fame because a lot more people were doing steroids than probably people wanted to recognize.
Yeah, exactly.
And the winner out of all of this, I think, as far as credibility, is Canseco. It's amazing how, he was, ran out of the town on a rail, so to speak, and yet a lot of his revelations are now coming home to roost.
Indeed, yeah. He's still kind of a clown, but it's like
you have to... Sure, he's an obnoxious personality, but what he was saying was truthful.
Exactly, and yeah, you're right. They sort of ran him out at when the first book came out, but everything he said in the book's pretty much come true, so...
Yeah.
I think the Ortiz thing kind of hit home, too, the whole issue of that list and everything. It's like, if they're not going to release the whole list and they don't even know exactly what the people on the list tested for, it's just too much of a gray area, really, to get all riled up about. Do you know what I mean? It's like, we don't know, like they said when the Ortiz press conference happened, that they don't even know exactly what he tested for because that's still sealed. So It's like, unless we know this kind of stuff, it's not really fair to leak like one or two guys' names.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I was teaching in the 80s at the university, and one of my co-professors who was married to a Brazilian woman, he was getting very old and kind of losing energy, and she was trying to give him this stuff that turned out to be growth hormone. And, I think that a lot of people during the 80s were just experimenting with things, and they were kind of on the edge of legality. And especially if you were getting them from South America or Latin America, you just didn't exactly know what you were taking. And so I'm not excusing anyone, but it is interesting that all of a sudden after the fact, people are kind of being condemned for things that now are illegal.
Anything else we should talk about in the current baseball season?
You mean for the American East, or just
in general? In general.
Well, in general,
the whole season.
Well, I think that the big surprises are going to happen in the West. I think that people have kind of written off the West for a long time, especially all of us in the East. But I have a feeling that there's kind of going to be a resurgence in both American League and National League West that's really going to surprise people. So I think that's interesting, and it is also intriguing to me that we're kind of getting into an era in which these predictions are pretty easy because there's almost dynasties that are being created within each of the divisions that will repeat over and over again for a few years. So it seems like we're in a place where it sounds like a lot of people are being traded or, free agency and all of that. But if you look at it from somewhat of a distance, you're getting players that are becoming loyal to their teams and staying there for a long time. That's kind of surprising and much more retro to the 60s and 50s.
Yeah. Sort of like, to speak to the mini dynasty part, sort of like the Anaheim Angels, how they're like a perennial playoff team now.
Right, exactly. Or the Pirates. Which, the Pirates, you join the Pirates so that you can see who you'll be traded to.
Exactly, yeah. That's like a stepping stone team. You kind of want to go there because you'll probably end up with the Red Sox or the Yankees eventually.
Right. It's sort of like one team above AAA.
I'm kind of down on the National League West, though. I feel like they're not going to have too good a season in general, those teams. But then I keep hearing good things about the Rockies, but there's nothing about them that really I find too intriguing. So I'll be interested to see if all the hype is worth what I've been seeing from them. Like Buster Olney on ESPN said he's their pick to win the whole thing.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to me, but
they're my pick to win the West. The Rockies are.
Interesting. Okay.
But, yeah, I think may surprise you in that one division. Yeah.
Well, I've gone out on a limb on a few of my picks, so
okay.
I felt like I needed to shake things up. I scored a terrible 0 out of 11 last year, so I can only improve. I know. I don't understand that. You and I probably watch the most baseball of anyone on the baseball special, so
yeah.
I think I tried to get two sabermetric or something. I don't know.
You got to watch that. You sometimes got to go with your gut.
I know, exactly. Otherwise, I end up like the Oakland A's.
Or the Diamondbacks this year.
Exactly, yeah. Well, what about the one team I think to watch is the Twins, because they got the new stadium and everything. It'll be interesting to see how they transition over to that. And, of course, now that they lost their closer, I feel like they're in kind of, tenuous shape.
Yeah. Well, they're definitely up there for me. I mean, you're highlighting some of my picks now, but I think that traditionally what happens when people get new stadiums, more people come to that. There's a larger fan base, which then propels the team along psychologically. So I figure the Twins are going to have a great year, and also the signing of Mauer really seemed like it said, the ownership's behind you guys. We're going to give you money. They're behind what the fans want. So that really sometimes is the magic that works, at least within a division.
Yeah. Now, do you have a team to watch, not necessarily that's going to make the playoffs, but could be, a breakout team or a most improved team? I'm hearing a lot about the Orioles, surprisingly, and I'm still sort of holding my breath for the Reds and the Royals, who I both think are sort of, on the cusp.
Yeah, of those three, I think that if Baltimore was in any other division, but the East, they'd probably win. But I have a feeling they're not even going to make it to wild card, and they're certainly not going to win the East. But they are going to be improved. But the one that you've already mentioned that I think is going to surprise everybody are the Rockies this year. I think they're really going to do really well. Not well enough to win the World Series, but I think they're going to surprise people for as far as they got, as far as they're going to get, I mean. And the big battle that I'm going to see out west is between the Dodgers and the Giants about who's going to win the wild card. And here I'm in disagreement with my son, who's a big baseball. He thinks the Giants are going to be the wild card for the National League, I think the Dodgers are going to be the wild card.
Are you both in agreement on the Rockies then for the West?
Yes, we actually are. What we did is over the weekend, I put all my choices on a piece of paper, and then he put all his, and then we compared them, and we were shocked about how many. The only place we were in disagreement was in the West.
Interesting.
The National League West. Everything else we totally agreed with each other on.
Yeah, well, it feels like a little bit like you said, where it's not too hard to pick most of the divisions, it seems. I'll be interested to see if the Mets can overcome whatever's been ailing them over the last 2-3 seasons, because they have so much talent. You'd think that they would be, perennial contenders, but they were awful last year.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem like, I don't think Jason Bay is going to be their savior. He went there, and that's a great move on their part and all of that, but they can't rely on one or two guys or a couple pitchers. There's something that goes on in the way they run that team that just is a lot of bad decisions. It's probably around, who their manager is, and they're going to have to wait for a Jim Leland-type character to come along and save them.
Yeah. Now, what did you think of the Lackey signing by the Red Sox? I was kind of not a fan, but I'm going to give him a chance to see how it plays out this season.
Well, I think that what you have to really look at with him is the team that he did worst against was the Red Sox. And he just hated Fenway. So we've got to figure, is he going to be able to pitch in Fenway against other people? Or was it something about, the Red Sox? I'll be interested to know if he gets a lot of away games, to pitch in. If they're going to fool around with the rotation so that you don't see Lackey, pitching night games in Fenway. But I really have a lot of confidence in him. I think he's really a good pitcher, a thoughtful pitcher. And as he said, his wife, who's from Maine apparently, he's now, in the kind of that comfort zone where the wife is close to family, and that always helps.
Yeah, that's true. Now, big bone of contention here in my house, we're big Tim Wakefield fans, so we're happy that he's in the rotation. I was a little disappointed that there was even any question about it, because Dice Case, he's flaky at best. I don't see how they could even presume to rely on him to be in the rotation. And I felt it kind of insulting when they were like, he's got to earn his spot in the rotation. It's like, he did make the All-Star team, though. It seems like
I thought it was Clay that was earning his spot all along. I thought Wakefield was going to be in there, and it was really between Dice K and Clay.
Yeah.
So I think I really like Dice K, I guess, a lot more than you do, because I think if he really does well and really does his samurai self into the game, he's going to be amazing. I mean, he's been able to be the MVP of the two World Classics, and I just can't imagine that he would be able to save face over and over again if he doesn't do well for one season or two in the near future. It just seems to be part of his temperament. And I thought that that's the way he was roaring back this season. He was going to do a really good job, but it's really disappointing to see he's injured so early.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how he does, because I agree with you. He had that 118-win season a couple of years ago, but then last year was just a debacle. So.
Right. And then, I think I've always thought that Ortiz coming back was like that him and Daisuke were sort of in the same wavelength, that David Ortiz has something to prove this year. So he lost weight. He's going, he was embarrassed by last year. So I thought that was going to be a good sign, but it's sorry to see Daisuke doing what he's doing right now.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we'll see how it shakes out. I'm trying to think if there's any other Red Sox news. Yeah, I wasn't too disappointed to see Jason Bay go, because he was good and everything, but he felt like too much like a rental anyway. I never grew attached to him. So
I was hoping that he'd come out of. After you have somebody as colorful as Manny Ramirez, Jason Bay just paled in comparison, except with his bat. And I just don't. Was really funny to hear that he went to New York, another big city. I thought he was on a fast track to Seattle.
Speaking of which, what do you make of the many changes in Seattle? They're my pick for the American League West. So
yeah, mine too. Well, I think Figgins and Cliff Lee and Ryan Garko and Matsui and even Casmel, coming out of it. The one negative I see out there is this Joe Panino.
Oh, Pinheiro?
Pinheiro, who's been around, St. Louis and been around the block quite a few times. Actually, the only time I saw him play was out there in Seattle, because I think he used to be with Seattle and now he's returned there. I think he's sort of going to be their black hole. But Cliff Lee, if he gets, and I hear he's injured already.
Yeah.
But if he comes out of it, I think he could really pull the whole team.
Yeah, as long as Milton Bradley doesn't cause any problems.
Right, temper tantrums, right?
Yeah, well, I guess he got ejected in 2 consecutive spring training games already, so.
Yeah, he may be an early trade.
Yeah.
Or release or whatever. He's the one problem. But Figgins, I think, he's a real spark plug. Bright baseball player, very good skills and a head for the game. And then their catcher, Josh Bard, he's an old Red Sox,
Oh, yeah.
So he's always kind of underachieved, so I think now that he's out from under the Red Sox, it'll be intriguing to see if he does blossom.
Indeed. We should mention your son's working for the Red Sox channel, Nesson. Probably folks who listen may not even know the Red Sox have a channel, but they do, and it's awesome. And your son's working for them and doing some serious stuff for them during the game. So folks who are watching Nesson will be able to see his handiwork on a regular basis. Yeah,
he's been there for 2.5 years now, and he's through various hard work and promotions. He's now an associate producer of the pregame show. So certainly for all of the New England folks and other people that buy it around the country, Nesson is the one way that we are able to see almost every game except those ones that are on ESPN and Fox.
Yeah.
So, it'll be nice because I won't be able to visibly see him. He's not one of the in front of the camera talents, but I'll certainly know that his handiwork is there. And he gets to work with Tom Caron and Jim Rice and Dennis Eckersley, and so that's just fun. He says, we hang out in the green room and we decide, well, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Who are we going to put on? What statistics? What player are we going to highlight? So it's lots of fun. So it's kind of like being able to work your dream, live your dream, work your dream, and he certainly decided that he was going to do that, and he's done it. So it's great.
Yeah, I'm envious. So it sounds like it's a good time. I'm excited too. Peter Gammons has joined Nesson, so
right, true.
Great addition to that channel.
Fourth person is going to be on the pregame show. So you want to go over my picks?
Yes, I was just going to say it's time for the picks. So let's get down to business. We'll start with our home turf, the AL East.
Well, the AL East, I believe the Yankees are going to win the division, and I think the Red Sox are going to get the wild card.
Okay. Now the Central?
That's the Twins.
That's what I thought, yeah. And the West, you already said the Mariners, so.
Yeah, I'm going to do the Seattle. And then I believe what's going to happen out of that, it's going to come down to Red Sox versus Yankees, and the Red Sox are going to win the American League Championship.
Interesting. Okay, nice. So we're pretty close on that one. I think we have our East and wild card flipped, but we'll see how that shakes out. People are still not ready to give up on the Rays, so I'm hoping they don't prove to be too much of a spoiler this year.
Yeah, I hope not. But the Jays are, I think, going to be at the bottom there.
Yeah, they look dismal. Yeah. All right, now the National League East?
Once again, a very easy choice, the Phillies. I think they're going to repeat.
Okay, and the Central?
St. Louis. I think it's going to be a battle between the Cubs and the Cardinals down to the end, but I think the St. Louis Cardinals are going to pull it out. Yeah,
I feel like the Cubs just had something good going there a couple of years ago and really squandered it pretty bad at the end. So we'll see. They need to recapture that momentum they had a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Then in the West for the National League, I think everybody's going to be surprised to see the Rockies win the West. And it's going to be a fight between the Giants and the Dodgers for the wild card, and the Dodgers are going to pull it out with some strong hitting from Manny Ramirez.
Oh boy! All right.
and then that's going to be the Cardinals versus the Phillies, and I believe the Phillies will win the National League.
All right.
So Sox versus the Phillies in the World Series, and I got to go with the Sox.
Nice. All right. Interesting. So the Phillies have become a potent dynasty in your potential scenario. I do agree. I think
powerful. They're the Braves of the 2000s. I think they're going to keep showing up, either winning or losing, but they're going to be in the World Series.
Yeah.
And also, the one we didn't mention is the Braves, and they've got a good shot at really challenging the Phillies in the East.
I think I have them for the wild card. So, because as I said, I'm down on the West. But every time I say that, then they turn out to be really good. So,
but you got a good choice in the Braves there. That's a good team this year.
Yeah, I feel like they're a dark horse team. That new kid they got is supposed to be unbelievable. That center fielder, I think he is.
Oh yeah.
So. All right. Well, your picks have been put into the list here, and it's going to be even more heated competition than ever before this year. So it'll be interesting to see if you can come out of this with a championship 2 years in a row.
I think the choices are so easy for everybody. I won't doubt that there might be a tie, and then you'll have to come up with the flip of the coin. But then we both get 2 field goals and 1 touchdown, right?
I think that's
that's a different sport, right?
All right, anything else
There
going
are
on?
no ties in baseball, though. You've got to have a winner.
That's right. Well, we'll use the transposed picks concept to break any ties. And if it gets even closer than that, we'll see what happens. But I have a feeling there'll be at least a few different picks, probably like in the Central, American League Central, I think, because I haven't seen too many of the same picks there yet. So
that's good.
Some of these will be make or break, like right down to the wire type things. And
well, that's why I tried to do something different in the West, just to give some diversity to the choices.
Exactly. Anything else going on that you want to mention? Anything coming up you want to plug? Speaking engagements or TV appearances or new books?
Well, I'm
going
to be out in Greg's territory. I'm giving a talk on May 1st at the Queen Mary in Long Beach, California, talking about Bigfoot in California.
Oh wow.
So then in June, I'm going to give the keynote talk at the Mystery Cats Conference in Glasgow, Scotland. And then a bunch of us researchers are going to go over to Loch Ness for maybe 4 or 5 days, check out the situation and how it's changed there since Robert Rhines died. And, of course, I've got all of actually I've been in a bit of a role here. I just finished the book Monsters in New Jersey. I signed a contract for doing a book called Bigfoot in Maine, and I just finished last night another book called True Giants with Mark Hall. So I'm writing quite a bit again, and I just, as I said, I'm on a roll. So in between running the museum and writing books and going to baseball games, I'm having a lot of fun.
Sounds like it, yeah. Sounds like it. Well, that's great. All right, well, we should be probably talking soon anyway for a full-length interview, and I'll talk to you about that after we're done
okay, great.
wrapping this up. It was great talking to you, Lauren. Best of luck in the Pick'em contest, and, go Sox. We'll be in touch, I'm sure, throughout the season as it is anyway.
Thank you, Tim, and it was great to be on your program again.
You're listening to Banal of America Audio.
What's going on, folks? It's the 2010 BOA Audio Baseball Special, and insisting that he goes first is Adam Gorightly. Actually, he's got some big stuff going on for him, so we had to squeeze him in here as quickly as possible before he takes a trip overseas. So it is time to delve into the mind of Gorightly here for the 2010 Baseball Special. How are things shaping up for your beloved San Francisco Giants, you think?
Hey, man, it's looking good for them. Everything I've heard from, the spring training games don't mean doodly squat, but they've been looking pretty good. Brought some new players on board, a little more offense, so things are shaping up.
I was saying to Greg Bishop the other night, yeah, it's looking like they have a pretty good chance here because the Dodgers haven't done shit all off season, so it's anyone's division for the taking, and of course the Padres are impotent, so that leaves really only you guys, the Rockies, and the Diamondbacks.
Exactly, yeah, and the Giants' main problem has been they're still looking for power hitters. They didn't really get any in the off season. They got some more quality hitters, supposedly. But they got some young dudes coming up, too, that might supply that power. So, yeah, they're going to be my pick for their division.
Nice. Sounds good. How is everything going on with you since the last time we heard from you on BOA Audio?
Not sure when that was. Probably about a year ago or so.
Yeah, probably on the last baseball special. It's been a while.
I'm cool, man. I'm working on a variety of projects, some book projects, a little musical project. Got another podcast going, so I'm busy.
Yeah, I heard you've launched a new podcast, so that's good.
Yeah, it's just going to be a once-a-month deal with myself and the Visigoth. We did our last episode a couple days ago, or our first episode as well.
A once-a-month deal? That sounds like a good gig. I should get myself something like that. So any big-name acquisitions by the Giants, or are we just talking about, some journeyman types?
No, they just got some journeyman types. What's his name, DeRosa or something? They got him, and I think that's his name, and Aubrey Huff. I haven't even seen these guys.
Okay, yeah, these are old school type dudes that have been around for a while, yeah.
Yeah, then last year they got Freddie Sanchez, who got injured, so they'll have him again. He just needs to get uninjured. I'm not sure what the deal was. I was excited when they got him, and he's a real good hitter, former batting champ there with the Pirates. So he's at second base if he gets unhurt. Since he got to the Giants, he played for a couple weeks last year. Then he went on the injured list and has been on and off it ever since. So I hope it's nothing that's going to really affect the rest of his time with the Giants.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
No big names, but I think they've improved overall. They re-signed Uribe, who kicked butt last year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they paid him peanuts last year, so they ponied up some money. He's a real kind of dynamic, explosive guy, or at least he was last year. Then they got this guy, really they're banking on him to be like a franchise player, this Buster Posey.
Okay,
and he's been doing good in the spring here, so he might provide some power. So, yeah, no big names. The thing is, from what I gather, these power hitter types aren't really interested in going to the Giants because it's a bad ballpark for power hitting.
Yeah.
So, they go to teams where they can get, and the Giants can't pay like a lot of the upper, teams with higher payroll, so they're kind of stuck there, but they got the great pitching staff, and if they can get a little bit of offense, which I think they'll get this year, they'll be fine. I was looking, one pretty interesting statistic, everybody thinks Barry Zito has stunk up the joint since he's got there, and his record sure shows that, but when he has gotten, it was either 3 or more runs or 4 or more runs, he's won all those games. Those guys just don't get the support,
Yeah.
So if they can, inch out another run a game, I think they'll win the division.
Right, and you don't have Randy Johnson kind of hanging around there, holding on to get his 300th win like he did last year. Seems like that was kind of touch and go the whole time, where it was like they just kept trotting him out there to get that 300th win, but I don't know how much he contributed to the team last year. So.
Oh, he did. He had a good record until he got hurt, yeah.
When did he get hurt, though?
Well, it was like the middle of the season, and he was gone.
Yeah.
But he had, it was one of those deals, he'd have a good outing, then he'd have a bad one, good outing, bad one. But, they needed somebody in that 4th or 5th spot, and he did a good job.
Nice. All right, are you ready for predictions?
Sure, why not?
I'm trying to think of what else we might need to... Oh, I should also mention, actually, that the Giants are coming out here to Boston, so we're going to have a Boston-San Francisco Giants showdown this year. So there'll be plenty of trash talking going on
that'd be cool.
Around June, which will probably be, as we'll get to in a moment, which will probably be in lieu of any NBA trash talking. So
yeah, exactly.
All right, let's roll through the predictions. And since you are a National League man, we'll start in the National League, and we'll go with. Now, I haven't even made my predictions yet because we're taping this pretty well in advance of when I normally tape the baseball special, but I'll try not to let your picks influence me.
Well, Mike, I have a strategy every year. I come up with some novel idea, and it hasn't really worked. The Costanza thing, or what I do last year was kind of a hybrid of Costanza and picking the team I hated the most.
Yeah.
That really didn't work, but it was better than what you did. Didn't you go 0 for everything last year?
I did pretty bad. Actually. I'm getting my notes up here right now to look at how I.
So I was thinking I could do opposite of everything you do, and I'd like the NFL playoffs. I couldn't believe that you posted to Facebook and you said, "Here's my pick," not just to screw with you. I was gonna put something on Facebook picking every team you didn't pick, and I would have, shoot.
You would have cleaned up.
Yeah.
I did pretty bad, but I did really well in my Oscar predictions, so maybe I should stick to entertainment. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think I was like 9 for 10 in my Oscar picks. So.
Oh, I didn't even follow that crap.
I know. Well, see, I'm a Renaissance man.
And yeah, my strategy, I think this year, basically, I'm going to play the odds, and I'm looking at the highest payrolls in baseball. And I'm going to kind of pick along those lines and see how that works. If you look at Major League Baseball, the economics are all screwed up. And really, year after year, for the most part, it seems, in recent years, the teams with the highest payrolls win their division, except there's one black horse every year, that comes out of nowhere. So I'm going to kind of use that mythology this year and see how it works.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, last year you finished 2 out of 11. That includes the ALCS, NLCS, and World Series, and I finished a dismal 0 out of 11. So I didn't get anything right last year, but I'm hoping for better luck this year. So we'll see what happens. All right, we'll start in the National League East. Who you got?
Okay, NL East. Let's see what the highest payroll is here. I believe we have the New York Mets. They have the second highest payroll in baseball. We'll go with the Mets.
Okay. So then we move down to the National League Central.
And I don't know anything about the Mets. So it looks like the Chicago Cubs, who they had a decent season last year. Old, what's his name? They still got the manager, that fiery character.
They got Lou Piniella.
Lou Piniella, I can't go wrong. So my Cubbies, I'm taking my Cubbies for the NL Central.
Sounds good.
And then the West, I got to go with the Giants, even though in 2009 they were like the 12th highest payroll in baseball. But I think they got it going this year. The question is who to pick for the wild card. Let me look. I need to think about that a little bit. Let's go with the Philadelphia Phillies.
All right. It sounds like this. I like this new system. I'm interested in seeing where it goes here.
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling you're going to do really well this year.
Yeah.
I'm a little frightened. I'd always relied on the Costanza system to buffer me out of last place, but after last year, I don't know what's going on anymore.
Yeah, I had enough of that Costanza, man. He let me down time after time.
If only you'd picked the Tampa Bay Rays that first year when you implemented the Costanza system.
Yeah, that's the only. I didn't. I should have. Yeah. I would have cleaned up. For some reason, that's the only seller team I didn't pick, and sure enough, it bit me on the butt.
Okay, now the American League East?
Oh, well, that's a given. The New York Yankees, the highest payroll in baseball in 2009, their payroll was $201 million, $449,189. So their payroll is like $50 million more than any other team in baseball last year. The Mets were $150 million. So we're going with the New York Yankees.
Sounds good. Yeah. They pay Alex Rodriguez more than like the whole payroll of the Florida Marlins or something like that. It's like, come on. All right, the American League Central.
That would have to go to your Detroit Tigers.
Oh, boy. Nice. All right. And then the American League West?
That's the Anaheim, Los Angeles Angels, or whatever they call themselves, the Los Angeles Angels, which is, that's like saying the Angels.
That's true. I never even thought of that.
Yeah.
That's true, yeah, because Los Angeles is really the Angels, right?
The Angels.
And then, this is why we had to have you on the baseball special, come hell or high water, for these insightful observations. And then for the wild card, who you got?
Your Boston Red Sox.
All right, sounds good. Okay, then, all right, who you got to win the National League now?
Oh, man, I haven't even gone there. Oh, boy, I hate to bet against my Giants, but, yeah, let's go for the Giants, man. I would be so happy if I won the Banal sweepstakes here, and also the Giants went all the way. And I think it's possible, that's what they say with a good pitching staff getting, once you get there into the postseason, with those short series, the Giants can do some damage. I think they can.
Yeah, because they got that other kid there that pitched the no-hitter too, right?
Yeah, Sanchez.
Yeah.
What's his name? Jonathan Sanchez. There's a funny story about Bruce Bochy is the manager, and he's kind of a droll guy. And when they got Freddie he called Jonathan Sanchez. His nickname was Sanchi. And when they picked up Freddie Sanchez, they asked him, well, what are you going to call him? And he said, well, he can be Sanchi, too. I thought that was humorous.
That is good. All right, and then for the American League, who you got out of the Yankees, Tigers, Angels, and Red Sox?
Let's play the odds and let's go with the Yankees, the highest payroll in baseball.
All right, and then to win it all, for the whole shebang, who you got?
Oh, man. Hey, that would be cool if the Giants and Yankees were in the World Series. Holy shit. Let's go with the Yankees.
All right. He's in it to win it this year, my friends. He's in it to win it this year. The competition is really heating up. All right, so we've got your picks now for the record. And anything you want to say about the NBA season? Back when we were planning this little mini interview, I thought there'd be more trash talking, but the Celtics have folded like a cheap suit.
Yeah,
and I'll be lucky if they get into the second or third round at this point.
I can't kick them when they're down. It looks like Cleveland will be there. If I was a betting man against the Lakers, I guess somebody else could emerge. Shaq got that thumb injury, so he's been out, so he won't really be back until they start the playoffs again. So who knows how that'll affect the Cavaliers. There might be a couple of the teams out of the East. I don't think the Celtics got it this year, man. I don't know. I think Father Time is just, they're paying their dues.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be
tough.
Hey,
what about Big Baby trying to change his name to Uno?
Yeah, I heard about that. That just sums up the whole season in general.
You can't pick your own nickname. It's like when Kobe tried to call himself the Black Mamba.
Yeah,
that don't work.
Yeah. Like I said, that just sums up the whole season. It started out so well. I don't know. Everything went off the rails like around Christmas time, and they just haven't recovered since.
Mm-hmm.
They fucking lost to the New Jersey Nets like a few weeks ago.
Sweet.
Yeah. I mean, like once that happens, I don't know. Yeah, you can just tell that some games they're on it, and then other games it looks like they're like a deer in the headlights, and they just keep dishing to Rashid, and he keeps missing threes, and it's like they're not going anywhere. This is ridiculous. But
that's part of the problem. There was this ain't the old Rashid. This is an older Rashid, and I don't think a lot of times they say, well, they doesn't have the heart or desire or whatever. Hey, he's older. It happens, man. It catches up with you eventually. And he's not the player he was with Detroit.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
My brother, who is, of course, a diehard Boston fan in general, insists that they're just holding back till the playoffs start. But I'm skeptical of that, but we'll see. We'll see. You know, a magical run is not out of the question. I'll be very excited if that happens. So.
Now, if you're getting ready for the playoffs, I mean, teams pace themselves. You know, the good teams. I think the Lakers have kind of done that this year, but you're not stinking it up towards the end of the season.
Exactly. Yeah. Like they were crushed by the Cavaliers a few weeks ago. It was like
you're starting to ratchet it up now, and I saw the Lakers play the Spurs last night, and they in the fourth quarter they just ratcheted up the defense a couple notches, and just shut down the Spurs, which is a good sign. They can do that. So
yeah,
I think
it looks like it's the Lakers championship to lose, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Maybe in another few years we'll get back to that awesome Boston-LA rivalry again. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm sorry it had to happen like this, Tim. But,
well, you know. We got our championship a couple years ago. I can't complain. Anything else you want to plug? Anything else coming up that you want to talk about? I know you got some projects in the works and stuff, and we'll be talking at some point in the future to do the Manson interview that's been long awaited by the BOA audio listeners, I'm sure. So don't worry, I still have you on the list here. You're on the.
Yeah, I didn't know that was on the radar. I'll send you a copy of the new Manson book.
Yeah, for sure.
I was going to do that a while back, and I didn't get around to it. So.
Oh yeah, that was when you were going to send me the Tucker Carlson best of whatever the hell that. I forget what the name of that guy was, but
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You I really don't. You asked for my address. I said for what, and then you said for some strange I don't even know 1970s jazz singer or something like that.
Oh yeah, okay.
Tookie Wilson or something. I don't know.
Oh, Mom's Mabley.
There you go. Yes, yes, the Mom's Mabley box set.
There we go. Yeah, I remember that now.
How do people find out about the new podcast? Is there a URL for it, or where can people check it out?
Let me think about that. It's kind of weird. It's through TalkShoe, which it's set up like a conference call.
Okay.
So people can call in there and whatever, but the URL for it is kind of a long-winded deal. But what I usually do, if they just go to my blog, gorightly.wordpress.com, I'll post when there's a new episode coming up, and they can go in there and they can, once they do get to that TalkShoe URL, they can bookmark that in the future. Then my pal Visigoth, he'll advertise it on his website. It's actually somebody who has a blog. Think or Be Eaten is the blog, and they put up. She has a page or a couple pages devoted to his different podcasts. So if you go to thinkorbeeaten.com and go to radio or podcast, whatever, you can find it. You'll find links to, we're calling this Transmissions from a Dying Planet, and Visigoth's going to be archiving the shows there, and our first episode is in there, which was pretty interesting. We interviewed this gal who thinks the Canadian rock group Rush is mind-controlling her.
Wow.
Psychotronic weapons, Solaris Blue Raven.
Wow.
She was in the first hour, then we had Andy Colvin, so go check that out. Navigate to thinkorbeeaten.com. That's, and get to the podcast like that. And, usually to find out more about me, go to adamgorightly.com or my blog, gorightly.wordpress.com, or my books are at Amazon if you search for Adam Gorightly.
Sounds good. People are well familiar with you via your many Banal of America audio appearances, so I'm sure they'll be able to track you down.
Don't need to do that much plugging. People have heard enough of me.
Any books coming up this year worth mentioning, or are they still sort of in the works?
They're in the works, but there are a lot of, I got 3 or 4 different book projects, and they're not all my books, but one of them I'm trying to get published by a late, great writer who is no longer with us. It's an unpublished manuscript, and that's all I'm going to say about it. Then I'm working on a couple other projects, and it's really not worth going into much about it now until they start to materialize. But I think in the next couple of years there'll be hopefully a spat of books coming out by me, maybe towards the end of this year, but probably definitely next year.
Nice. A Go Rightly tidal wave is on the horizon.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Stay tuned.
I really lucked out here because I was going to do all the emailing to start locking people up for the interviews tomorrow, and I would have missed you. So it was serendipitous that I was sitting around, had some extra time, and said, I might as well email everybody today and start locking these people in and stuff. And luckily, I caught you right before you headed out to the airport. So
yeah, I would have been gone. I don't think we would have hooked up. So good deal. Yeah, I was thinking about we were getting close to the baseball prediction time, so it all worked out.
Yeah, it worked out well. Hey, thanks again for coming on the show, Adam. I know you're super tight for time, so I really appreciate that you squeezed us in here before you head out. And best of luck with all these projects. We'll be talking soon.
Yeah, thanks for squeezing me in, my man.
You're listening to Banal of America Audio.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're continuing onward here with the 2010 BOA Audio Baseball Special, and we've got some fresh blood here on the program. I'm already going to say right now I think he's going to be the BOA Audio Baseball Special Rookie of the Year, even though we've got two newcomers on the show. I'm really looking forward to talking to him. He is making his first appearance, as I said, on the baseball special, but he's been on BOA Audio already before, and he's also been on the BOA Audio Lost Cast, so he's a friend of the program. He's the author of a number of books. Let me plug them here before we reveal his name. His latest book, What Lurks Beyond, The Paranormal in Your Backyard, is available for pre-order from Amazon.com, and he's also the author of Darkness Walks the Shadow People Among Us, wildly popular book exploring the shadow people phenomenon, and Haunted Missouri, a ghostly guide to the Show Me State's most spirited spots. Both of those are available wherever fine books are sold. Jason Offit, he's back on the program, and he's making his debut here on the baseball special. I'm really excited that you've stepped up to the plate, pun totally intended, to join us here on the baseball special.
Well, Tim, thank you very much for having me on the baseball special. I love listening to your baseball specials. Big baseball fan since I was a kid, so this is a big pleasure for me.
I know. When we were sort of emailing back and forth last year, I think, after the baseball special, I was just stunned by not only how big of a fan you are of baseball, but just, your history sort of entwined with baseball. You saw Lou Piniella play when he was a player, which is pretty amazing. And what stunned...
That's dating me. Thank you.
I know. Hey, dude, I'm envious. And what I think might be a first here on the program, you've actually been in attendance for a no-hitter, which is mind-blowing to me. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, that is one thing I like to lord over all the other baseball fans I know, because not many people sat in the stands and watched the no-hitter. It was Brett Saberhagen, which your Boston fans are quite familiar with. When he was playing with the Royals, 1991, we were playing the White Sox, and let me rewind the no-hitter just a minute.
Okay.
I covered sports when I worked in the newspaper industry part of the time, just because I love sports. I wasn't necessarily on the sports staff, but I used to shoot games, and went to this game with our sports guy who happened to go to high school. Actually grew up with John Rooney, the broadcaster.
Okay.
And Rooney, who is with the Cardinals now, was with the White Sox. So I got to have dinner with John Rooney, which is really cool. And he and my friend Russ regaled us with tales of streaking back in the 70s at the Dog and Suds.
Oh, geez.
Which, considering Rooney's about the same shape as a 55-gallon barrel, that interesting visual. But anyway, after I shot some of the game and then went and sat in the stands because I had what I needed, and got to watch just an unbelievable. It was so tense the last couple of innings. Is he going to do it? Is this pitch going to be the pitch where there's a little squib single yeah. I mean, when's it going to happen? So the whole stadium for every pitch after about the sixth inning was just dead quiet, and as soon as he threw it, the place just went in an uproar. Every out he got, it was just absolutely amazing. And afterwards, it was one of those things where you just sit there for a while going, did I just freaking see this?
Yeah, I'm so envious, and I'm glad that it happened. Not to date you again, but I'm glad that it happened in 1991 because I was afraid this was going to be like a story of, you were a little kid and didn't understand the significance of it. But it sounds like you were just in the moment there. I mean, I'm just blown away. I'm in awe of this.
Right. Yeah, I was in what the heck was I? I was in my 20s, late 20s in 1991. No, mid-20s in 1991. Yeah, so I complete full faculties, grown up, all this, and I knew the importance of what I was sitting there watching. And then me and my buddy got drunker than hell. Had to celebrate.
Exactly, absolutely, yeah. That's how you do it in the world of baseball. Now, as we've intimated here from earlier here in the conversation, you're in Kansas City Royals country. Obviously, they were a player. Back in the day. When did things go wrong for the Kansas City Royals? Maybe you can pinpoint this for me.
Oh, yeah, I can pinpoint it exactly. John Sherholtz. That's what went wrong with the Kansas City Royals because he was in charge of – he's the guy who built the Royals. The Royals of the mid to late 70s and up until after they won the World Series. He, in my opinion and in a lot of people's opinion, he was the guy who orchestrated the whole thing. He built the most outstanding farm system in baseball, and after he left and went to the Braves, we all know what happened to the Braves after he showed up.
Yeah.
The Royals just crumbled because they lost their guy. They lost the guy who designed everything, and they just let it go all to hell.
Now, was he the general manager at the time?
Yes, he was the general manager. I don't know what year he started. We graduated from the same college. He did much earlier than I did, but I'm not sure what year he was GM. But yeah, he was GM for the late 70s and up through the 80s.
Yeah, because every year, I remember like a couple of years ago in 07, I was sitting there I was out in LA visiting Greg Bishop, and we were sitting around talking baseball. Greg Bishop, me, and Paul Kimball, and both those guys will be on the special later on. And I said at the time, you got to keep an eye on the Royals. Every year I feel like they're going to break through. And of course, last year you guys had the Cy Young winner, so it's not like there's a lack of talent, but it's like they just can't seem to put it all together. I mean, they did sign that Farnsworth guy, the relief pitcher, which is kind of crazy because he's terrible and sort of a flake. But
well, I know, and the Kansas City media was just nuts over that. It was like, you did what? You signed who?
Yeah.
How much money?
Exactly. Yeah. So it's a weird organization because you see a lot of dudes like Coco Crisp ended up there a few years ago, and he was pretty good in Boston. So
yeah. Right. Well, and the Royals, one of the problems with the Royals throughout the years, ever since the World Series year, 1985, is the last time they went to the playoffs. After they won the series, that was it. They haven't been to the postseason since. And a lot of the names that have been through here since then have been fairly amazing. Johnny Damon being one.
Yeah, exactly.
Jermaine Dye. We've had a lot of players go through here that have had a lot of success with other teams. We just haven't held on to them. It's not because we haven't been able to. I mean, because people will throw that small market baseball around, but we've had owners who could shell money out who just didn't.
Yeah. What's the status in Missouri? Is it like a regional thing between the Royals and the Cardinals? Because it's surprising. I think because they're the Kansas City Royals, people don't realize they're in Missouri, which is telling in general about the American educational system in and of itself. But
right.
It's surprising that Missouri has two teams. You'd think like some places that are crazy about baseball, like New England would have two teams, but we don't. We only have the one. But I'm surprised that Missouri has two teams. But they've both been around for a long time, so I guess it's not that.
Well, and they have, of course, the Cardinals have been around for forever. St. Louis had two baseball teams at one point. I don't remember the years. It might have been back in the 30s and 40s, maybe even the 50s. They had the Browns, I believe was their team. The Royals have had a couple of teams. We had the A's. When the A's left Philadelphia, they came to Kansas City, and then they went out to Oakland.
Okay.
Back when we had the A's, they were kind of the Yankee farm team back in the day. For some reason, we would trade all of our good players to the Yankees. Interesting story about that. Back when my mom graduated from high school in 1954, she went to beauty school in Kansas City, and her and her friends were out at a club one night dancing, and she danced with Billy Martin.
Oh boy, jeez.
Yeah. And surprisingly enough, she said he was a nice guy. That's not the Billy Martin I remember.
I know, yeah.
But I didn't dance with him.
I suppose if he's dancing with a lady, then he's in a good mood, I guess, you know.
Yeah. Well, and I guess going back to the question that I vaguely sort of answered, but Kansas City, so St. Louis has had its market for a while. My dad was a big Cardinals fan just because when he grew up, that was the team that we got. And when we got the Royals in 1969, they got good fast. They were pretty good in 1976, which was George Brett's rookie year. 77 was probably the best Royals team ever. And then they were good, went to the World Series twice up until 85 when things kind of crumbled. And at that point, through the late 70s and up to the mid-80s, they were drawing over 2 million fans a year. There wasn't a team in Colorado. There were Royals fans from Missouri, Iowa, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Colorado. I mean, all these states. We had a huge area to draw from.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they added all these other teams. Florida, I don't see they can't even support one team. I'm surprised they have two, but I've been bitching about this on the show for years. So they need to just merge those two. Now, what happened? I vaguely recall that Royals were offered the chance to leave and go to the National League, but they didn't.
Right. I think the main reason is because they've always been an American League team.
Yeah.
I think that was a huge mistake. Because at the time that happened, the American League was a bit better than the National League at the time. So the Royals' record probably would have been a little bit better. But looking at the regional pull, I mean, you'd have St. Louis coming in, and the games would actually mean something.
Yeah.
You'd have the Cubbies coming in, and the games would mean something, and you'd have the Rockies, which we'd play more often. I just think it was a huge mistake. A lot of people in Kansas City think it was a huge mistake. But, I mean, the American League team, they kind of wanted to keep it that way.
Yeah, yeah. Now, the Brewers did end up switching. Maybe they got the offer afterwards or something. I don't know. I'm not familiar with how all that went down, so.
Well, I'm not sure if there was really an offer to any team, an offer to Kansas City, but they were in the running for it, and they pulled themselves out. Again, things happen like it would be. I mean, to pull them, it's like an argument with the restructuring of the NFL. If you would have, separated Dallas and Washington, what kind of an uproar would that have been?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So people are resistant to change, so it's not surprising. But they'd probably be in better shape in the National League just in general, because although the American League Central. To go back to sort of what we were talking about, how I feel like the Royals are on the cusp. I felt it really a lot last year too. At the beginning of the season, they were really doing well, and it seems like the American League Central is always sort of like the wild west of the division. So how are you feeling in general here as the season's about to start?
I'm feeling like just maybe, we will be next to last place. We might be in fourth instead of fifth place. Yeah, I mean, you never really know what's going to happen with Detroit, with the White Sox. Minnesota is still my favorite in the Central. But the Royals aren't going to be contending for a while, in my opinion, just because of the fact that for years, and we haven't done much to improve that this year, is defense and hitting.
Now, what about the guy there they had that was touted as like the next big thing, Alex Gordon? He never really. I heard the analysis I've been reading is sort of like this is his make or break year, where now they're sort of saying, well, maybe he's not going to be the next big thing. So it's sort of like a lot of pressure on him to either really blossom this year or settle into being, just an average player. And the analysis I read, which is amusing because it's true, is like it must suck for somebody like him, who's like achieved something that 99% of the population couldn't achieve at all, which is to be in the major leagues, and you're still not, you still quite have that dark cloud over you that you haven't lived up to what the experts expect of you. But what do you think of this guy?
Right. I think last year would have been his make or break year if he hadn't gotten injured. This guy in college was fantastic. Award after award. He was just a phenomenal college player. Grew up in Nebraska. Left-handed third baseman. He idolized George Brett. Left-handed third baseman, Hall of Famer. So this guy, and getting drafted by Kansas City, this was one of his dreams. And then he comes and he doesn't meet up with his expectations for a couple of reasons. One, Kansas City fans have been waiting for the next George Brett ever since George Brett started getting older.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kevin Seitzer was supposed to be that. Jeff Conine was supposed to be that. Billy Butler is still a young guy and a good hitter, but he's probably not going to get to that level. And then we get Alex Gordon, and this guy has the pressure of, hey, maybe he is the next George Brett. And I think one of the reasons that he hasn't blossomed has to do with something that George Brett said. Somebody had asked Brett to talk with Alex Gordon his rookie year, and he did. He had a nice discussion with Alex about hitting, about what you should do, how to be a great hitter. And Gordon did a few of those things in practice and started driving the ball exactly like he should be. And then after the discussion, he just stopped.
Huh.
And his hitting has been subpar. How do you have George Brett tell you how? I mean, it's like, okay, Mark Twain saying, "Hey, Jason, you probably need to structure your sentences this way." I'm probably going to listen to the guy.
Exactly. Yeah. That makes you wonder. Geez, and if he idolized the guy, there shouldn't be any tension or anything like that. It's not like, so that's just strange.
Yeah, after peeing his pants that, oh my God, George Brett's talking to me. Yeah, he should listen to every single thing that he said.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't get that, but I think most of the Royals fans that I've talked with are almost they're ready to give up on him. Now, as him being a great player, as an average player, yeah, we might have that for a while.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was saying, like you and I aren't going to be playing for the Royals, so it's like he's doing a little better than we are, but
yeah, I don't know. We might be there.
That's true. Now let me see. Oh, you did work at Kauffman Stadium, right? That's where you used to work, which is the original Royals. Oh, wait, now, let me see here. Yes, you worked at Royal Stadium, which is now Kauffman Stadium. Is it the same stadium? They just added the naming rights type thing?
It's the same stadium. Ewing Kauffman was the owner of the Royals. He's the guy who started the franchise in 1969.
Okay.
And so when he died, they named the stadium after him. So there's no naming rights here. It's just out of respect for the guy who brought the team here and kept it here.
No, they don't have a new stadium now, though, do they?
No, they have dumped some money in it and refurbished it. It's absolutely gorgeous. Whenever they built Truman Sports Complex back in 1973, they did everything right. They've got Kauffman Stadium and they've got Arrowhead Stadium right next to it, and they're still both gorgeous stadiums. And yes, I worked there. Being a huge baseball fan, I was like, man, what can I do? I mean, I'm going to be a food vendor. I can go to 81 games a year, and if they go to the playoffs, I can go to more than that. They had just lost to the Phillies in the World Series in 1980. 1981, I got a job at the stadium. And they went to the playoffs every year that I was there. And I went to college, and in 1984, I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. So after that season, I stopped. What crappy timing! I missed the 1980 World Series and I missed the 1985 World Series. But it was great. You have no idea how much cute girls will flirt with a peanut guy. It's insane.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
Yeah, and I learned a couple of things. One, never eat food that's not prepackaged at the stadium.
What do you mean by that?
Okay, because there would be a lot of times where the food vendors would sweat into the hot dogs.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so buy a bag of peanuts. Get your hot dogs from behind the counter. Don't buy them from a sweaty man.
Interesting. All right. Yes.
Yeah.
I'll keep that in mind.
And And well, it's working at the stadium was great. You get to go out. You're outside. You're running around. You're selling. The atmosphere at the ballpark's beautiful. And I think it was in '83, perhaps maybe '84. We were battling the Angels for first place in the American League West, and whoever won the last few games at the end of the season was going to go to the playoffs. And so there was a lot of Angels fans there, and I was vending nachos, and a guy raised his hand, and I knelt down, started fixing him a nacho, and I looked up and I'm like, I need to say to that guy, you look like Ralph Malph from Happy Days, but I didn't. And I gave him his nacho, and he's like, how much? I'm like, $1.70. He gave me $1.75 and wanted his nickel back. But when I was hearing him talk, I'm like, oh crap, that is Ralph Malph from Happy Days.
Oh boy, weird.
So I met Donnie Most, and he stiffed me for a tip. That's my memory of Donnie Most.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Jeez. Now, as the season's about to begin, anything other than what's going on in Royal Country catching your eye? Anything of interest, to you that you've been hearing about?
Royals or just in general?
In general.
In general, no. There's a lot. At the university where I teach, there's a whole lot of kids from the St. Louis area. So there's a lot of Cardinals talk.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's. I probably should have done a little bit more homework before this, but I've just been frankly paying attention to the Royals so far in spring training and seeing how Greinke's been doing.
How is he doing? What do you expect from him this year?
I expect a lot of the same from last year. I don't know if he's going to have a 2.16 ERA again, but he's looked good in spring training. He had one rough outing, and afterwards when he was interviewed, I love listening to Greinke interviews because will just say whatever comes to mind. Hey, look, there's a dog. That sort of thing. But he said in the interview he had no idea what happened. He said he got up there and threw his best stuff like he always have, and he just got tattooed.
Yeah. Well, that shit happens in spring training. There's not much. Like I was saying to Lauren earlier, don't feel guilty for not really having, much to say about the off season in general, because I haven't really been paying much attention. Even in the spring training games, it's like if you turn it on late and it's like 11-9, you don't even know. Those runs could have been scored in the 8th inning when it was all minor leaguers playing still. So it's hard to even really gauge much of what's, how things are going to shake out.
Right.
And since there was only like 2 big free agents anyway this off season, so there wasn't much going on except for that big Phillies trade where they got Halladay. So that's about it. And everyone kind of expected that to happen anyway. So, big surprise. The Phillies get stronger. That's that's almost on par with the Yankees. Signing crazy dudes to fucking huge free agent contracts.
Right, but if you're George Steinbrenner, what the hell? You can do whatever you want to if you're with the Yankees.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I saw last night on Baseball Tonight they were talking about the Tampa Bay Rays starting rotation, and they said the combined payroll for the starting 5 for the Tampa Bay Rays is $8 million, which CC Sabathia will make by like the middle of May. So
I don't have the file in front of me, or maybe I do. Yeah, because I noticed this headline the other day. A British study. They did a study on global sports salaries, and the Yankees are the best paid players in the world of any sport.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, and it was like 3 other soccer teams and
then a few NBA teams.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So that's no surprise, but they only have one championship to show for it for this crazy spending spree style of general managing. Because otherwise, they won all those championships early in the in the 90s or whatever, with mostly dudes that came up through their farm system and shit.
Right, which is that's how the Royals won all the American League West pennants and won the World Series in 1985. It was all farm team. That's
Exactly.
where they got their players.
Yeah. So.
Which, yeah, and I remember when George Brett and Willie Wilson signed their $1 million a year deal. We thought people were freaking nuts giving baseball players that much money. Yeah, it's pocket change.
I know. I should have gotten into baseball. I should have
practiced more, yeah.
Exactly. All right, well, it's time to throw your name into the hat for the predictions contest. Since you're new to the process, it's pretty simple. You pick each of the divisions and the wild card and the National League, American League champions, as well as the World Series champions. You only get credit if you get the actual division right. So, for instance, if you picked the New York Mets to win the NL East, but they win the NL wild card, you don't get any points for that. But in the event of a tie, you will get points in those transposed picks, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
Okay. We've had controversy in the past, so. And, of course, you'll be competing against all the other guests here on the program, as well as the people on the forum, the official BOA forum, the usof.com. So we're looking at quite a pool of contestants this year. And
if there's a tie, I will kick the other guy's ass in ping pong, so that'll solve the whole thing.
There we go. We'll have a ping pong showdown to settle it all. All right. Well, you're a National League guy, so no, wait a minute now. You're in the American League guy. What am I talking about? We'll start in the American League. Who do you have for the American League East?
American League East, oh, God, I hate to do this. I absolutely hate to do this because growing up, who did the Royals battle in the late 70s for the chance to go to the World Series? It was the Yankees every freaking year who beat us, but I can't not pick the Yankees.
It sounds fine with me. I was just watching baseball tonight, and they said they ran 10,000 simulations, and the Yankees will win the American League East like 60% of the time, but I'm still, I think I'm still backing the Red Sox this year because I have to.
Well, yeah, I understand that, and I saw a really nice Red Sox commercial on YouTube. It was the Yankees suck commercial.
There you go.
Which was really nice. The little girl, about 6 or 7 years old, Dad put her to bed, and she was like, "Hey, Dad, Yankees suck. Yankees suck, dear." Anyway, yeah, I gotta go with the Yankees.
Okay, now your home turf, the American League Central. What's your call here for the American League Central?
Minnesota.
Okay, and the American League West.
And I have a general rule that I hate every team from New York and California.
Mm-hmm.
But I got to go with the Angels.
Okay. Everyone seems to be on different pages so far, so that's good. And for the wild card.
Let's stick with my division. Let's stick with the Central. Let's go with the Tigers.
And the National League East.
And how can you bank it? Just like with the Yankees, I can't bank against Philadelphia.
Yeah, they're becoming a juggernaut. It's pretty surprising. I'll be interested to see how Halladay adjusts. Given the way American League pitchers seem to do in the National League, I mean, he could be pretty dominant. But then again, Johan Santana isn't exactly setting things on fire himself, and he came from the American League. So I guess it's
right. Well, against Minnesota, he did fantastic work in Minnesota.
I know, that's the thing. You'd think that he would do really well in the National League, but he really hasn't done anything yet.
Kansas City's famous for getting people like that. I remember when we got Mark Davis and Storm Davis the same year. The year before, they both had brilliant years with the A's. Well, Storm was with the A's, and they just completely crapped out in Kansas City.
Yeah, that's the worst when that shit happens. Yeah, we've been going through that in Boston with J.D. Drew. He was like unreal in L.A. and Atlanta, and he's just mediocre at best here for us. So it's like, why'd they sign this guy?
Some people aren't set up for seafood.
Well, I was going to say, when you're talking about the vendors, when you go to Fenway, they actually have a clam chowder vendor who goes around with clam chowder. So
really, how is that when he throws it across 3 aisles?
Well, you got to get it early, or else by the time I noticed, because I got mine like in the 7th or 8th inning, and by the time I got it, it was fucking cold. And I was like, oh, what is this? This is just awful. It's like porridge. Yeah. National League Central.
Gonna be a homer with the home state, Cardinals.
All right, they're a popular pick. I mean, they are quite the team. So, and that National League Central's, it's hit or miss. Some years they're really on fire, and other years it's like they're dismal. So.
Right. Yeah. Agree. But I've got the Albert Pujols. graduated from the school district where my wife used to work, and he went to a community college in Kansas City with absolutely the worst mascot, college mascot. He went to the Maple Woods Community College. He was a centaur.
Oh man, that is a strange one.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say to that. I'm surprised that he would go to a community college, considering that he's like the best baseball player in the game. You'd think that he would have gone to some
big Division I school.
Yeah, I'm surprised, but I bet you he just went there for like a year or something and then ended up.
Yeah, it was very short. Yeah.
National League West.
Gonna go with the Rockies.
Interesting. All right. I'm seeing
I'm picking
love for the Rockies here from a lot of people, so this is interesting. Okay, and the wild card.
L.A.
All right. Okay, and then in the American League champions, who you got?
Oh, again, I can't shy away from the Yankees, and really, it does hurt to say that.
It hurts me. No, just no. Well, as I was saying to Lauren earlier, I'm just not hearing the buzz about them this year, so I'm hoping that maybe they're fat and lazy now, or whatever it is. They won the championship. Maybe they'll rest on their laurels a little bit and get caught by surprise. That's my hopes as a Red Sox fan.
Right, and I'm picking the Yankees, and I'm hoping you're right.
Yeah, you have to go against your better, sentimentality, I guess, when you're making the picks. That's as I found out last year when I went 0 for 11.
Got to go with the logical side of your brain, not the feeling side.
Exactly.
That's key.
Exactly. All right, the National League champions. Who you got?
I'm going to pick St. Louis.
Nice. All right. That would be a great World Series, even though, as we've discussed, the Yankees suck. I think St. Louis, New York one would be pretty historically rich, so I'd appreciate that. I think
Agreed, yeah, it would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, they both have the most championships between them, so. All right, and then who do you have winning the whole thing?
Oh, and now I'm going to go with my emotional side as opposed to my logical side. I'm going to go with the Cardinals.
All right, I'll be interested to see how you do. I have my doubts about Pujols. I've watched him in the playoffs the last few years, and he just does not seem to. He doesn't seem very clutch. But I don't know. He's due for 1 year, like where he's. They said that shit about A-Rod, and then he fucking destroyed in the playoffs this year. So
right. Well, I mean, Peyton Manning was never able to win the big game. He does have a Super Bowl ring. People do pull things through. Yeah. All
right. Well, that will do it for the baseball discussion. What do you have coming up? Of course, as we noted here. What Lurks Beyond the Paranormal in Your Backyard, available for order from Amazon.com.
And hopefully it'll be at bookstores, too, because I should be getting copies in the mail any day.
Oh, wow. Awesome. All right. So folks should just get on Amazon and order What Lurks Beyond the Paranormal in Your Backyard. And, of course, the website is from-the-shadows.blogspot.com, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, hey, Jason, thank you so much for coming on the show for the 2010 baseball special. You'll be back, I'm sure, to talk about the new book as soon as I get my hands on it and I can read it, and I'll be looking forward to talking to you about that. We've been discussing Lost here the last few weeks and now baseball, and we'll get back to delving into the paranormal in no time, I'm sure.
Okay, that would be absolutely terrific, Tim. I love being on your show, and if you have me back next year, I'll talk about how I single-handedly screwed up the 1994 baseball season.
Interesting. There's a teaser for you. All right.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, Jason.
All right, Tim. Thank you.
You're listening to Banal of America Audio.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're continuing onward here with the 2010 BOA Audio Baseball Special. We've got a good friend of the program here, Richard Dolan. He has been to the top of the Banal League mountain once already. Back in 2008, he was the champion, unseated this year by Lauren Coleman, and he's hell-bent on revenge. He wants to reclaim the title, much like his beloved New York Yankees reclaimed the title this past year in the Major League Baseball season. So it's kind of a mixed bag for you. You lose the Banal League title, but your Yankees win the championship. So
look, dude, I thought I won the league last year. I'm thinking I'm a two-time champion. I'm not prepared to recognize that Coleman won this because, as I recall, I had a couple of real close call predictions there.
Yeah, you were pretty close. I
was. I'm just not willing to give this one up.
It's been
this means everything to me, Tim.
Well, you'd be happy to know that We have one forum member who actually did better than everybody on the special, so he's going to be on the special this year.
Wow,
Yeah.
awesome.
He
Great.
got 7 out of 11, which is kind of amazing if you think about it. To pick 7 out of 11 before the season even starts. So, and he's a diehard Yankee fan, so he really.
All right. Well, this guy knows his baseball, and he's got to be on there. So he's our gold standard.
You could say that, yeah.
And who is this mighty new guy?
Believe it or not, he just goes by the name Mystery Man.
All right, Mystery Man.
Yeah. So.
I'm after you. I got your number, dude.
I love
Calling you out.
I love it. So you got to enjoy the experience of the Yankees reclaiming the championship.
It was fun. Yeah, it was fun. I'll be honest with you. I grew up as a baseball freak. I played every day as a kid. Watched the Yankees all the time. My grandfather used to take me to Yankee Stadium when I was a boy. And in fact, I will never forget. I was at Old Timers Day. The last year of the old Yankee Stadium in 1973, I was 11 years old, and I got to see Mickey Mantle come in to the players' entrance before the game, and I reached out my bony little arm, and I touched Mickey Mantle on his right forearm as he walked by with his suitcases. And it was the biggest thrill of my childhood, getting to touch Mickey Mantle. So for me, baseball, it really reminds me of my grandfather, who was just a great guy, and how could I not be a Yankees fan? A lot of people love to hate the Yankees, and I absolutely get that. Believe me, I do. But I can't ever hate them. To me, it's a family thing. I grew up watching them, and I have a lot of great memories of going to Yankee Stadium with my grandfather and my cousins. And so, for me, it's just in the blood.
Yeah, and it seemed like I find it ironic because I look back at the picks from last year, and nobody amongst the people on the special had the Yankees, and it's ironic that
I think I picked Boston, didn't I?
The Cubbies. You had the Cubbies last year. I have it in front of me here.
Oh yeah, I'll never. I love the Cubs and I hate the Cubs. I can't. They're just this team that I want them all the time to win, and they always let me down. It's just like I might as well move to Chicago because that's how they all are over there.
I know. It's very frustrating. I think the window's closed on them now for a while, so maybe once this new ownership gets settled in.
I think they had their chance, and sad but true.
Yeah.
One team I have not given up on and will not give up on is the Minnesota Twins. I like the Twins. I don't know what it is about them. They're this little small town, small market team, and they find a way to win at least most of the years.
Yeah,
they
they're always
did it last year. I think I picked the Twins last year.
Yes, you did.
Aha.
Yes, you did.
And everyone thought, that's crazy, man.
Yeah, they managed to stay in contention all the time.
They squeaked in.
Yeah.
They squeaked in.
In that one-game playoff. Yeah, that was a great game.
Oh, it was fabulous, yeah. That was great.
And it seemed like the Yankees, they get a lot of flack over the last, 10 years or whatever, because then they started, really paying a lot of people a lot of big money and bringing in a lot of stars and stuff, but they still weren't winning the championship. But it seemed like it finally all came together this year, maybe because they just spent all that money on 2 ace pitchers instead of, fielding positions or something like that.
I think, the pitching definitely. Sabathia was absolutely important. Jim Burnett were really great additions to the Yankee pitching staff. I think they've got a very, very strong staff again this year. But, dumping the money into pitching seems to have worked out for them. Part of the problem, this is the one thing that George Steinbrenner in the old days loved to do, is he'd buy a guy because he was great 10 years ago and pay him all this money. And the Yankees of the late 90s got out of that. They were built, as everybody knows, had a lot of homegrown talent, and they had made some intelligent trades along the way too, but they weren't dumping all the money into these washed-up stars. But they started getting into that again. They picked up Giambi and a whole bunch of other guys who gave them a couple of good years, but then just went, right down, and so you got all this salary and not as much production as you'd want. So they were always competitive, though, through the whole decade. They didn't really have any truly bad years. They just couldn't put it all together. I still remember when the Red Sox picked up Bill James, the statistic guru.
Oh, yeah.
I made a prediction. I don't know if anyone heard me make it, but I said they're going to win a championship within 2 years. I think I said within 3 years. and they won it within, I think, 2 years, something like that.
Yeah.
Which I just thought showed a commitment to really intelligent baseball analysis, and the Red Sox are strong again this year. I keep looking at the Yankees and Red Sox, and now I'm looking at the Rays. That's going to be a great race to watch.
Oh, yeah.
Those three teams, I think, duking it out. Devil Rays, I keep saying Devil Rays, they caught me off guard last year, I have to say. Once I got a look at them, I thought, this is a really good young team.
Yeah, they're surprising, and they've managed to kind of stay, they've raised the level up, and they're staying there now. It's not like the Tigers when they went to the World Series a few years ago and then settled back down to the middle of the pack,
Yeah, I don't know how the Rays are being run. I don't know a lot about their management, but it seems like there's a real commitment there to have a good ball club. And they're young, they're exciting ball players, at least until they can't afford them anymore. It looks like they're going to be an interesting team to watch.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. If they may have to make some tough decisions if they're not in contention by the trade deadline this year, because some of those guys are coming up on contracts. Now, speaking of guys coming and going, now the Yankees lost two sort of like signature players on their team there, Matsui and Damon, who I thought was just unreal in the playoffs, especially when he stole second and then stole third.
I know. Wow.
I mean, and the guy on the forum there, Mystery Man, he kept sort of taking the Yankees party line during the negotiations and was like, let Damon go. And I was like, you can't underestimate the intangibles that he brings to the table.
Well, everyone likes Johnny Damon. I liked watching him play. He's just like a fun guy, and he's been an excellent ball player. But he's I don't know his age. He's 36, 37, something like that. You just can't expect a guy like that to be productive. I've always felt he's not the outfielder he had been. Matsui, I loved having him around. I just thought he was a great ball player to have around. The Yankee outfield is definitely the biggest loss. I look at what they've got, and I'm not seeing a lot to make me smile as a Yankees fan. The only thing that I'm liking is that every other aspect of the team looks so strong. The infield is phenomenal. Pitching is excellent. If we get one more good year out of Jorge Posada, I'll be happy. They've got some very good catching talent coming up, by the way. So it's just the outfield. There's just not a lot of production I see coming out of the outfield. I think the pickups that they've gotten are overrated, in my own opinion.
You mean Curtis Granderson?
Yeah, I mean, the guy doesn't get on base. What am I going to do with a guy like that?
That's true.
He's fast. He's not on base. He's a big out producer as I look at it. So I think he's overrated. And then Randy Wynn, who, I mean, is getting paid a lot of money, doesn't really excite me all that much. He's another one. He's low on base percentage. Just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd like to see myself be surprised, and I'd like him to have a good year. But and then really the one guy in the Yankee outfield that excites me is the new guy, Brett Gardner, who I think has some potential to really turn it on.
Yeah, he's pretty good, yeah.
I like him, and I want to see him get a lot of playing time. I think he will. And Nick Swisher, I think is basically a replacement level type of player. I like him, but I don't really see him as a superstar.
Yeah, I feel like though that, and maybe you can speak to this. I feel like I get the sense that he sort of, I don't know if it was him or Burnett, because I guess Burnett's kind of have the same sort of mentality, but it feels like they sort of lightened the mood a little bit of the team last year.
Yes, I have to agree. Swisher, I caught a couple of his interviews, and he's just a fun guy. He's just a guy, I think would be a very fun guy to hang around with, and he's got a good attitude. I'm just not seeing him as a great player.
Yeah. He's like a Kevin Millar type that, chills everybody out and sort of helps the team chemistry, but you don't see it really necessarily like in the stats.
There's not one really devastating outfielder that the Yankees have this year. Like they've always had at least one great ball player in the outfield, I've thought. And, not really seeing it this year.
And you talk about being frustrated, liking the Cubs. As a Red Sox fan, I can't tell you how frustrated it is to see Mariano Rivera come on the mound. It's like this guy never – he's like so old, but he's so unbelievable.
38, 39. He's amazing.
It's maddening to be on the opposing side because it's like –
he was phenomenal last year. I'm just thinking, when is this guy going to have a decline? Rivera is just such a treat to watch pitch. And I don't want to turn this into a Yankees-Red Sox love fest, but the only other guy that I actually loved watching pitch more was Pedro in his days with the Red Sox, who was, I think, the most amazing pitcher that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Personally. I will still never forget about 10 years ago, Pedro threw a one-hit, 17 strikeout game against the Yankees at the stadium. You probably remember this.
I think I do, yeah.
It was unbelievable. It was a no-hitter going late into the game. Someone got, I think, a bloop single off of him, and he was just this machine, just going out there and daring the Yankees to swing at that, and they couldn't touch him. But Mariano Rivera is he's a guy who really wasn't much of a starter, in the minor leagues, and when he came up to the Yankees, they tried to start him have him as a starting pitcher, and he just, I don't know, it just did not work for him. But as a reliever, I think he's probably the best there's ever been, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I'm in total agreement with you.
Total command of his pitches, and incredible movement, and everyone knows what's coming too, and they still can't touch him.
Exactly. Yeah, it's that
incredible.
Yeah, the pitch that keeps breaking the bats all the time.
Yeah. What I love about the Yankees this year, I'm actually really glad that Chamberlain is going to Jabba Chamberlain is going to go to the relief, to the bullpen.
Yeah.
It seems that that's where he belongs. I think Phil Hughes can be a very good starter. Chamberlain, I'm a little disappointed that the Yankees kind of messed with him for a couple of years. And you're going to start, you're going to relieve. But I think he could do what Rivera did a number of years ago, which is serve as a setup man for a while. And I think that you get Chamberlain and Rivera in the bullpen, 1-2 punch. Wow.
Yeah, because he was dangerous in the bullpen. He was just tough to
He had better velocity coming out of the bullpen, at least a couple of extra miles per hour on his fastball. He was a much tougher guy to hit coming out of the bullpen, at least historically. So I think Rivera is going to have to retire at some point. Why not just groom Chamberlain to be the next closer?
Yeah.
You solve that problem for the next 10 years, hopefully.
Yeah, exactly. Now, have you gotten the chance to go down to check out the new stadium yet?
No, God. Well, I'm living in Rochester, New York.
Yeah.
You got to remember, I'm a good 6-7 hour drive out of New York City anyway. I'd like to do it. I haven't really been to Yankee Stadium. It's been a number of years. So here in Rochester, occasionally, a number of years ago, I'd catch a couple of minor league games here. We got a AAA team that, in fact, is associated with the Twins.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so that's good. But going to Yankee Stadium is expensive.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
I'm just thinking, I need that for the mortgage.
Yeah.
I think I'll hold off.
Yeah, I remember when they first opened it this year, or last year, it was like, that was all they were talking about for like the first month, was just how crazy the ticket prices were. But also that it was like an unbelievably amazing place. So it sounds like it would be a cool place to see a game.
One day, maybe before I die sometime. If my next book sells 1 million copies, I'll get a seat somewhere.
There you go, folks. Get on Amazon already.
There you go.
Now, I think we've talked about the steroid thing before. It seems like it's dying down a little bit.
Well, it's still one of these back burner issues, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And the thing that bothers me is it's always going to come up anytime one of these guys comes up for the Hall of Fame voting, whether it's Roger Clemens, Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, I have a very hard time. I'm not happy with the duplicity of the policy that people seem to have. Like Mark McGwire. Mark McGwire juiced, all right. But the fact was, nothing that he did was illegal when he did it.
Yeah.
He did not break any rule. And not only did he juice, but we don't even know how many players did this. 20%, 30%, 50%? More? We really don't know. It's a lot of guys. Okay? And the fact is that many of these guys have gotten away. They didn't get caught. Some guys did get caught. Major League Baseball all through the 1990s was totally complicit in the steroid mania. They were all excited over the home runs. Everyone knew. Everyone could see that Barry Bonds' head kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. All these guys kept getting more and more bulked up. Everyone knew that there were steroids in the NFL. So what is it? Somehow baseball is immune to this? The fact is that there's tremendous economic pressure on these guys to produce numbers that are, better and better. There's a tremendous amount of pressure on these teams to win. And the entire environment, from Bud Selig right on down, was one that was very permissive towards steroid use, I think. And a lot of people were unhappy with it, right? We all know this. But the fact is, I don't understand how you can penalize the players for doing what they were encouraged to do and what was not illegal for them to do.
Exactly, yeah.
And it annoys me because McGuire, is he eligible for the Hall now? I think he is, right?
Yeah, he's been eligible for like 2 or 3 years now.
Yeah, see how out of it I am?
He's just teetering on almost being off the ballot. Like,
it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
The same with now. Barry Bonds is a controversial one, but I just looking at it logically. How do you keep a guy like Barry Bonds out of the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, exactly.
The whole thing just seems absurd to me.
Yeah, it's going to get to the point where, like, Bonds, Clemens, all these guys who have all the records aren't going to be in the Hall of Fame. It's ridiculous.
I mentioned Pedro earlier, but really, if you had to pick one, the most dominant pitcher of that generation, I'd have to say it's Roger Clemens. You could go with Clemens, Maddox, Pedro, maybe Randy Johnson, I don't know. But, I would say Clemens.
Yeah, especially longevity and all that, yeah.
He was a machine, and I'm not sure. I haven't really followed this that carefully, whether Clemens was taking steroids after it was supposedly made illegal or not. I don't think he did,
I don't know the specific timeline of it all, yeah.
I think it's good to monitor the steroids. First of all, they're not good for you. We all know what happened to Lyle Alzado in the NFL.
Yeah.
And they're obviously not a healthy thing to put in your body, and it is cheating if you're doing it and the other guy isn't. But I just don't see the logic of penalizing these people. I would like to see the steroid issue go away. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to go away until all the Hall of Fame issues are dealt with. And I have this feeling that they're not going to be handled well.
Yeah. And that whole list thing is like looming all the time, too, because until they can't seem to come to any sort of legal remedy to the list.
It annoys the hell out of me that U.S. Congress has gotten involved in this at all, to the extent that they're now going to prosecuting Roger Clemens for not being honest with. Why is Congress investigating this at all? I don't know.
Yeah. Now, you're kind of a baseball purist. What do you think of the whole replay debate that came up, especially after the playoffs? Because it seemed like there were a lot of blown calls in the playoffs. It was embarrassing.
No, I'm for using replay. I think I'm for also using it to call balls and strikes.
Okay, that's a surprise because most people seem to draw the line at the balls and strikes.
I'm tired of these umpires blowing the calls. Honestly, I don't watch a lot of games anymore, but I visit my in-laws. My father-in-law's a baseball freak, so I'll go to the house and he's got the game on. I'll catch a few innings every time I'm over there. He likes the Cardinals, so he'll have that on any time. But whatever's on, we watch it, and I'm astonished at the variety in how these umpires call balls and strikes, and they're not always consistent, even within a game. And, and they absolutely favor veteran pitchers over new guys.
Oh, totally, yeah.
And come on. If you can't do it right, the machines, the technology that we have absolutely works. There's just no question about it. It nails it every time. So I just say use that.
Yeah, that is pretty frustrating when the guy, he'll call a ball or something like that, and then they'll show up with a little box thing, and it's like, what are you talking about, dude? It's a strike. It's clearly on the little box. So.
Yeah, I guess I'm a purist, but by that I simply think then I'd like the game to be played as it's supposed to be played, that is accurately, with accurate calls by the umpire.
Yeah.
So if the umpire can't do it, and I don't think they can, as well as the machine, I just assume see the video camera take it.
There you go. All right.
The replay, you just don't want it. The whole thing with baseball is that the games take so long.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the part of the debate that people.
And I'm afraid there are so many easy things that could be done to speed up the game. Even with the commercial time that's in there, they obviously want all that revenue, so the time between innings has gotten longer over the years. If you look at a box score from like the 1920s, those games were like an hour and a half.
Oh yeah.
Some of them were as little as 60 minutes, believe it or not. They say that there was no clock in baseball, but in olden days, the clock was called the sun, which meant that you had to get the game done by a certain time, and that encouraged umpires for generations to call a quick game, which meant, here's one thing that you could just stop batters and pitchers from doing, which is just jerking around out there. The batter's job is to throw off the pitcher's timing. The pitcher's job is to throw off the batter's timing. They're allowed to want to do that, but we do not therefore have to sit back and let them waste the entire game doing that nonsense.
Yeah.
All right. So when batters, after every pitch, they step out, they adjust their gloves, they brush off their pants, they do whatever imaginary hocus pocus they do, and then they get back into the box. That absolutely should not be allowed. And this is not a big deal. It shouldn't have to be a big thing.
Exactly.
Okay?
Yeah.
You could let a guy step out, maybe keep, 1 foot in the box for a half second, maybe, some brief. And the same
you just can't be deliberate about it.
No, and these pitchers, there's a number of pitchers who just are brutal to watch them out there. And then the other thing is the pitching changes. I think, once you get to the seventh inning, it turns into this marathon where managers will come out and they have to tweak, their
they bring in a guy for one hitter, and then they bring in a different guy for the next hitter,
and there are logical things. There are reasonable low impact rules you could make to make this easier. You could just, unless it's an injury, you could say you bring a pitcher in. You can't do just one guy, or you can't have more than one mid-inning pitching change, or you just limit it to so many per game.
Exactly, yeah.
There are ways to do all this. And then the pitcher throwing to first base all the time. God, limit it. And people think, oh, well, that goes against baseball tradition. But look, keep in mind, through the 19th century, through the 20th century, baseball has always had rule tweakings here and there.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like the game was built by the Olympian gods and then given to mankind and say, never change. Societies change. The games change. We have to. Look at basketball. Basketball has been very, very current. They've changed their rules. They've evolved over the years. Baseball can do that. There's nothing wrong with that. Doesn't mean that you're losing the essential game. What you don't want is to have a 3.5-hour, 4-hour game. How are you going to get kids to watch that?
Exactly, yeah. That's part of the problem with, the World Series. How it always ends at 11:30, midnight, and kids can't even watch it anymore.
God, it's horrible.
All right, well, on that note, let's get down to business on the predictions.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, we'll start in our stomping grounds, the American League East. Who you got?
Well, I'm going with the Yankees, man. I think it's going to be a very, very close, because Boston's got a really good-looking team out there, I have to say. They're fun. They're fun to watch in the sense that they're just an excellent team. And I think that the fact they got Lackey is really going to be helpful. He's a guy who's going to be good in the starting rotation for them. Yeah. He's only going to help them, I think. I like the Yankees a little bit better as a team, not because I'm a fan, although I am, but I just think
they just have a slight edge.
An incredible infield, outstanding pitching staff, at least as it's looking right now in April. You got Mariano. I don't know. I just think that they've got it, and they're going to probably squeak past Boston. Although, like we were saying earlier, I think the Rays could surprise us. Hey, the Rays could win the division. Who knows? But I'm thinking it's going to be Yankees, Boston, and then the Rays. And then who cares after that?
Exactly.
It doesn't matter.
Exactly. All right, the American League Central. Twins?
Well, I'm going to go with the Twins, even though I think the White Sox actually have a better shot at this. But here's my attitude about the Twins.
Mm-hmm.
All right? I am not giving up on the Twins until they really prove to me that they can't do it. This is a team that every year they find a way to be competitive and they find a way to win. I'm actually encouraged. They locked up Joe Mauer and all that money, to play with them forever.
Yeah.
Joe Mauer is phenomenal talent, and to me that just shows that the Twins do have a commitment. The problem is you got an injury to their star closer, Joe Nathan.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's going to really hurt them. If Nathan were healthy, I would say the Twins absolutely. I'm still picking the Twins, although off the record, I'm thinking the White Sox have possibly a better edge, but I'm going with the Twins anyway out of loyalty to the good people of Minnesota.
There you go. Yeah, I ended up going with the White Sox for the exact same reasons you laid out. So
you did well.
Yeah, we need a little disparity between the picks anyway, so it works.
That's right. I'm going with a couple. I'm taking some chances here, man. I'm out on the edge.
All right, now the American League West.
I'm doing the same. I'm going with the Rangers over the Angels. I think.
Wow. All right. Nice.
Well, I like the Rangers. They were good last year. I think they're going to be better this year. I like the fact that Nolan Ryan's their president. Come on, man.
No love for the Mariners, though.
No love for the Mariners. Milton Bradley.
That's
Come on,
true.
Need I say more? I'm a big fan of Ichiro. I've always loved watching this guy, and I think the Mariners they've got an excellent 1-2 starting, in the rotation.
Yeah.
But the rest of the pitching is a little spotty. I don't really think they're going to be that great. I see them maybe 500, a little over maybe. I'm looking at the Angels and Rangers duking it out. The Angels really are good. They've lost a couple of. They lost Lackey. They lost I think it was Chone Figgins. I'm thinking.
Yeah.
But the Angels are still a very, very strong team. They could win it, but I'm going to go with the Rangers just for the hell of it.
Nice. I like this.
And I'm going to look for Vlad Guerrero to have one last good year as DH there.
Nice. All right. And the American League wild card?
Boston. Gotta be.
Okay. Yeah. It seems like there's a lot of those are the two. How it ends up shaking out will shake out how the Banal League shakes.
The thing, all of these divisions, really, in the American League, and as we'll mention, I think in the National League too, actually, really could be very competitive. I think all of them could be an exciting race. The AL West, I'm thinking Angels, Rangers, maybe the Mariners might make a play. It could be a very interesting. And you know what? The Athletics, no one knows who is even on the Athletics. You look at the names of these guys, I'm like, who is this guy? Who is that guy? But here's the thing. You've got to respect Billy Bean, the general manager there. He's a really smart guy. He knows how to put good young talent together that no one's ever heard of before, and it just might be that they surprise the rest of us. But I'm going with the Rangers in the West.
Okay. The National League East.
Well, you got to go with the Phillies.
Yeah.
Have to go with the Phillies. I think they're the team to beat there. They've got, you've got Rollins, you've got Ryan Howard. The guy's a beast.
Yeah.
And you got Halladay there now, and I look at the Phillies. I think they're certainly going to be contenders to win the National League pennant, but I think they're going to be the team to beat in the East. Although I like the Marlins. They got a lot of young talent. The Mets are a team that I used to try to pick just for the hell of it, and they always look good on paper. The problem is they got to play on grass, and I'm just tired of getting disappointed by the Mets. Having said that, if Jose Reyes can come back, I know he just got another injury, but I think he should be back sometime in the spring. Or am I wrong there?
No, I think you're right about that. He's on his way back.
You got Beltran. Hey, you never know. David Wright, I'm thinking, should have a better year. You got Jason Bay. You've got actually not a bad lineup. The problem with the Mets is after Johan Santana, I don't even know who's pitching for that team. So I don't know what they got. So I will go with the Phillies in the East.
Okay.
I think they're definitely a team to look at. NL Central, I hate to say it, but I'm looking at the Cardinals. How can you not?
Yeah.
I think they were made to play in October. And Albert Pujols is probably the best ball player in baseball.
Yeah, I think that's my opinion too. He's really at a whole different level.
Unbelievable.
All right, National League West, which I'm hearing different opinions.
This is a wild place.
Yeah.
National League West. Now, let me just say, this is not a division that I've always followed very carefully. I'm out in the East, and I'm more of an American League kind of guy.
So it's like the furthest. Yeah, same in the same.
So like, who gives a crap? But the thing is, it's actually, once I started really researching these guys, it's a really exciting division. Anything is possible. There's 4 teams, it looks like, that really can do something. I think the Rockies and the Giants, the Dodgers, and the D-backs are all have possibilities there to contend. The Padres look like they don't have anything. I'm kind of liking the Rockies.
Nice.
I think they're kind of the antithesis of what the Rockies used to be, which was big lumbering power hitters. These new Rockies play small ball. They got a lot of good slap hitters. They're fast. I don't know who their pitchers are, but every time I'm studying these guys, it seems like they got good young pitchers. I'm just going on a hunch.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of buzz about the Rockies this year, so you might be on the right track.
And I just can't get myself to root for the Giants. I don't know. Is it a mental block? Is there a problem with Rich Dolan and the Giants? I guess there is. However, I will say that I'm looking at the Dodgers. I'm not a fan of the Dodgers, but when I look at their pitching, I see them as having a very good pitching staff. I still see Manny Ramirez as having one more good season with him, and they've got an outfield that is excellent even without Manny. They're a very good team. I'm picking the Rockies to win the division. I'm picking the Dodgers to win the wild card in the National League.
Okay, nice. All right, so we've got your divisional picks. Who do you have for the American League Championship?
American League pennant?
Yeah.
Yankees.
All right.
Got to be the Yankees.
Okay, and then in the what's that?
National League, I haven't even picked until right this instant.
Okay.
So I'm going to use my proven psychic powers to pull a flash out of my mind, and it's, oh my God, it's going to be the Dodgers.
Wow. All right. Greg Bishop will be happy to hear that.
Well, they just surprised me. They just popped up in my head, so there we go.
Okay, and then to win the whole thing?
Yankees. Yankees, dude. That's my prediction. Has anyone else predicted the Yankees yet?
We've got a lot of Yankee predictions. Let me see. One, actually, surprisingly, no. Only Adam Go-Rightly's picked the Yankees so far. So
okay,
I picked the Red Sox on the logic that if the Yankees could win the World Series last year using just 3 pitchers, then the Red Sox, using that logic, the Red Sox should be in contention too then. But Go-Rightly's got the Yankees. Lauren Coleman has the Red Sox. Jason Offutt, who's new to the special, has the Cardinals.
Yeah, okay.
And Paul Kimball has the Phillies. So.
Oh, well, yeah, any of those are possible, obviously.
Yeah, so it's so there's a good mix here this year.
That's the thing about these predictions. It's so difficult.
Oh, yeah.
And it's almost impossible to predict what team is going to be the surprise new good team. The Rays, for example, caught me completely off guard when they started to become a good team. It's just hard to know. It's hard to know unless you really follow this 24/7, which sadly I do not any longer. My days of maniacally following the teams are long gone. So for me, it's more of a fun predilection and a diversion rather than something that I really follow as a fan.
Yeah, and you never know what's going to happen in the season anyway, because some dude needs Tommy John surgery in June, and next thing you know,
there goes the season, exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm one of these rare Yankee fans who actually likes the Red Sox, and I even like the Mets. What can I say?
You're a good person.
Well, thank you, Tim.
Well, as we close it out here, what's going on with you? I hate to be the guy that asks again, but when's the next book coming out?
Well, I've been very busy actually. My last book that came out was last summer. That was the second volume of UFOs in the National Security State, and that was a big project. It took many, many years for me to get that done, and it's 600 pages, and I'm happy it's out. I've actually got 2 book projects in the works. One I'm not feeling that I want to discuss yet, but I think I may have a surprise book out later this year.
Oh, nice.
Even before the 3rd volume of my history is out. But the 3rd volume of the history is something that I'm absolutely researching and writing, and I do believe that the 3rd volume of that will be out within maybe 2 years from now. I think there's a good shot for that. Meanwhile, though, I've got another book that I will be working on, that I am working on, I think I can do kind of quickly. That's why I'm doing it now.
Nice.
And I'm hoping late summer I may have something to talk about.
Awesome. And what's going on with this TV series I'm hearing rumblings about?
Well, the thing is, we got a really nice team of people together for a TV show, kind of like another version of the UFO Hunters. In fact, I did a show something like this before there was UFO Hunters in 2006.
Yeah.
I had a show called Sci-Fi Investigates, and I've got a team together, and we shot a pilot dealing with a UFO situation in Washington D.C., and we've been shopping it around. The pilot is not on YouTube, but we have another 3-minute clip that we put when we were out at Montauk,
Nice.
and that's on YouTube. Long story short, we've got this shopping around to network executives. This is a process. I remember this from when I went through it 3 years ago. It takes forever for these things.
Yeah.
To 4 years ago, God. So I'm told that we've got interest by a number of the major cable networks in what we have, and all I can say is I've not gotten any kind of firm commitment. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It would be fun. I enjoyed doing TV.
Nice.
When I had a show a couple of years ago, and I think I would enjoy it again.
Awesome. So folks should just stay tuned.
The thing about TV is that when you do a TV UFO investigation, it's very difficult, really, to do it the way you want to do it. The good part of it is that usually there's a budget involved, and you can do things that would be difficult to do otherwise, like use certain types of equipment, fancy equipment that looks great on TV, and sometimes it can even be useful, a little bit. The problem with a TV investigation is that you got no time. You're on a budget of time and money.
Yeah.
And so everything is just mapped out. It's got to be very rigidly adhered to, or you're going to blow your budget, lose your schedule. And so it's my experience in seeing this and participating in it firsthand at times is that it's just always going to fall short to what you want it to be, and I think this is the nature of the beast, unfortunately. But within those constraints, I think that the show that we are working on, assuming we get a green light, and I think we will, it's called First Contact, by the way. I can tell you I have a lot of say into the shows that we actually do and how we do them.
Oh, nice.
And I can tell you that this is unlike the other show I was involved in, that if we get it, I'm going to do everything that I personally can do to make sure that the show has the highest level of integrity and actually does legitimate investigations of unknown things.
Nice.
Yeah, I really intend to do that.
Awesome. Well, you've given us just a super extra amount of time here, Rich, so I really appreciate it, and it's always great talking to you about the baseball season impending. Even though you're a Yankee fan, you're a friend first and foremost, so it's always good to talk to you about the upcoming season. So thanks a lot for coming back on the show. Best of luck in the prediction contest. I hope I win, but if I don't win, then I hope that you can reclaim the championship from Mystery Man. So.
Why, thank you, sir. This is a lot of fun. I have a feeling that my predictions aren't going to be as successful. I took a few chances, but I'll stand by them.
There you go.
You're listening to Banal of America Audio.
Ladies and gentlemen, we continue onward here with the 2010 BOA Audio Baseball Special, and we've got back here on the program. I think this is his 4th appearance on the special, so he is a grizzled veteran of the BOA Baseball League, filmmaker Paul Kimball, longtime friend of the program. Paul, welcome back to BOA Audio. It's been too long.
Hi, Tim. Great to be back on the program. Hopefully my predictions will be a little more intelligible in 2010 than they were in 2009. Yeah, looking forward to it. Good to be back.
Yeah, we both had a pretty down year last year, so.
Yeah, didn't you take the Tigers?
No, I think I had the Sox actually to win. I think I have them again this year, but I went 0 for 11, and you went 1 for 11. So I
was 1 for 11.
Yeah.
So with the battle within the battle, I beat Banal, and really that's the only battle that I care about. So.
Yeah, but we're both circling the drain. So.
I don't think we're circling the drain. I think we have to, this is it. If it doesn't happen for us this year, then I think we're down the drain and halfway out to the harbor. So
it was, yeah. Well, I gave a lot of chances last year to teams that I should have known better, but I'm still doing that. So I haven't completely learned my lesson, but I'm at least giving chances to better teams, I think. So we'll see.
Not me. I've actually researched and prepared this year, so my predictions are going to come true.
I think everyone's going to be surprised by the astoundingly strong predictions from Adam Go Rightly. He's completely abandoned his previous style, and as he actually put out some very strong predictions. So he's in contention, I think. But we'll see what happens. You never know.
The sad news is Go Rightly beat both of us last year, and I think his basic method of predicting was throwing things at a dartboard. So essentially, yeah.
So I know. What's been interesting you here as the season's about to kick off? I know you're a hardcore Red Sox fan, of course. So
Actually, I'm a hardcore baseball fan. For a Canadian, hockey's usually the thing, and of course, the Olympics certainly had our attention. Not just for hockey, but for all of the Olympics, but certainly hockey and beating the United States.
Well, it is your sport, so we can let you guys win.
Yeah, right. I follow baseball pretty much 365 days a year. I mean, I might not spend hours a day looking at it in the off season, but I keep up with things. To me, the big news, obviously, coming from Canada, although I'm not terribly much of a fan of the Toronto Blue Jays, but the big news is seeing Roy Halladay, who I am a fan of. I think he's, if not the best pitcher in baseball, he's certainly in the top 5, leaving Toronto after spending his entire career there and heading down to Philadelphia. So that, I mean, like every off season, there's always a lot of moves and things going on, but to me, that's the move. It's a game changer, if you will. And certainly for Toronto, it's a game changer because the only half-decent pitcher that they could rely on night in and night out for a quality start is now down in Philadelphia. So chalk rebuilding next to Toronto's name in the book. But that would be the big news. And of course, there's a lot of other moves. Seeing people like Cliff Lee moving to Seattle and Johnny Damon winding up in Detroit and all sorts of stuff. It was a busy off season. I suppose the other thing I would say is the other big news is St. Louis keeping their guys and sort of fortifying their lineup, making things easier for Albert Pujols. So sometimes it's not what you acquire. Sometimes it's just what you don't lose. And in that sense, I suspect St. Louis and Philadelphia both came ahead this year.
Yeah, and the Twins, too, by re-signing Joe Mauer. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Although I think the Twins, they keep Mauer, which is great, but you lose Joe Nathan, which is a huge loss.
Yeah,
you don't have a closer anymore. So that whatever good feeling you might have coming out of Minnesota about anything else that they've done, losing Nathan is a major blow. So, you can go down from roster to roster to roster and sort of say, oh, well, Mike Lowell, boy, it must be tough being you, and trying to determine what's going to happen to your career. You can go pretty much for every club and say, well, everybody has made some significant move of some sort. And then it's just a question of how they're all going to pan out. But the one that clearly made one team worse in the short run, at least, Toronto, and one team significantly better in the short run, Philadelphia, was the Halladay move to Philadelphia. And I think if people in the United States who don't follow the Blue Jays as much as we do in Canada, simply because they're on TV, basically every day here, so we get to see most of Halladay's starts, or we did. I think folks in the U.S. who are probably aware of him but haven't seen him on a regular basis are going to finally realize just how good a pitcher he is, especially playing for a club that's significantly better than Toronto. If you can win 15 to 17 games for Toronto, 19 to 21 for Philly should be easy.
Yeah.
So, if he's healthy, you can mark Halladay down for 18 wins and an ERA of around 3 and a trip to the playoffs, which will be something new for him.
Yeah, he's going to do pretty well, I think, and it'll be interesting. Now, being that you're our Canadian correspondent here on the baseball special, what do you think is the problem with the Blue Jays? Obviously, they're in a very tough division, but that didn't stop the Rays, so it's not like that is like the be-all and end-all of the competitive advantage or whatever. So, what do you think the problem is with the Blue Jays? Poor management, lack of farm team, whatever,
They suck. You can narrow it down to two simple words, Tim. They suck. The Blue Jays won 2 World Series once, and so it's not like you can't win in Canada. And the Expos had very good teams for a number of years, and probably in the strike shortened or strike washout year, the Expos may well have won a World Series. So it's not like being in Canada is the problem necessarily, but there's no question. Toronto's a small market team in the American sense. I mean, if you want to be a star, you want to play in LA or New York or Boston, those major media markets where you can get lots of endorsement dollars. So right off the bat, it's a little harder. Plus, we're in another country, different currency, all that sort of stuff that your average baseball player who perhaps does not have Michio Kaku's IQ would find a little more daunting. So it's a little harder to lure people up here than it might be even to a place like Tampa Bay, which at least is still in the United States. But yeah, no, it basically comes down to poor management, honestly. I mean, they've got Cito Gaston as their manager. Well, he was great back in the early 90s, but he's a retread. They had J.P. Ricciardi, who they should have fired, I think, several years ago as their general manager, who made a series of bad baseball moves. And, they basically just ran the team into the ground. There were some ownership problems, questions of just how much money the owners were willing to pump into the club. And you could look at that and say, well, okay, but the Rays competed, at least for 1 year, and the Rays are not a rich team, certainly. But the Rays did it partly through luck and partly through good scouting and all that sort of stuff, and the Blue Jays just don't have that. Whatever good scouting system they had in the 80s is largely gone, and it seems like their ability to pick talent is gone. And the biggest mistake they made is they threw a ton of money at Vernon Wells.
Yeah.
And tied up a massive amount of money on an outfielder who, from the looks of it, is probably a 280 guy at this point in his career. And, maybe they'll get lucky, but Wells would have to hit 40 home runs, drive in 120, and hit 300 in order to even remotely justify the contract that he has. And so, that symbolizes the bad baseball decision-making that's been taking place in Toronto for quite a while. And, I've never been a real fan of the Jays, so I don't particularly care. But, I kind of hate to see them. There's that little Canadian thing, I'd like to see them win at least 70 games, and I think they'll be hard-pressed to do that this year.
Yeah.
And, good for Baltimore, because I think Baltimore's finally found the team that they can step on to get out of the basement.
Yeah, it seems like Baltimore's on the upswing for a change, which is good, I guess, for them.
But, I mean, there's just no hope in Toronto this year and for the conceivable future. And part of it is you're playing in a division with Boston and New York, which is never good. But also it's just the general incompetence that has been plaguing the Blue Jays franchise. So, I think there's going to be an awful lot of television sets in Canada this summer that are turned to games being broadcast from south of the border. I don't think there's going to be very many people watching Blue Jays games unless they're playing somebody like Boston or New York or, somebody that matters.
Yeah. Well, luckily they play him a shitload, so.
Yeah, well, that is true, and that's probably the saving grace for the front office in the Blue Jays franchise. You get to mark New York and Boston down for at least a couple of homestands, so that should bring in some money. But other than that, I mean, it's definitely a franchise that's reeling. I wouldn't say it's in trouble, but they're treading water. They've been treading water for 10 or 15 years, and never being too bad, and never being really any good, sort of 75 to 85 wins, which if you were in the American League Central, 1 out of every 5 years, that'd probably get you in the playoffs. But they're not. They're in the American League East, and at some point you have to decide, well, okay, how do you do it? You've got 3 strategies. You try and spend with the Red Sox and the Yankees. Well, that's not going to work. It's not realistic. Or you resign yourself to being the Pittsburgh Pirates of the American League, 17, 18 straight losing seasons, and hope that there's enough baseball fans in your hometown to allow you to at least keep the franchise going. Well, Toronto's not Pittsburgh. It's not a baseball town, inherently a baseball town, so that doesn't work. So the only other strategy that you can employ is sort of Tampa Bay's strategy, which is load up, or Florida's, load up, take a run, and then spend 3 or 4 years rebuilding, load up, take another run.
Yeah.
But realize you're not going to be a dynasty. You're not going to win every year, but you might have a shot at making the playoffs every 3 or 4 years. And then once you're in the playoffs, anything could happen. So that's the strategy the Blue Jays should have employed, but they haven't. I think the Blue Jays still, it's kind of like watching the British after the end of the Second World War. It took them a while to realize they weren't a superpower anymore. And I think the Jays, it took them far too long to realize that in a division with Boston and the Yankees, they weren't a superpower. They were just a team that had some really good management, made some very good decisions, and had a good run in the and early 90s. But they couldn't sustain that. They didn't have the economic resources to sustain it, but they failed to change their strategy. So they tried to continue to compete even though they didn't have those resources, and it's wrecked the franchise. And now they're going to have to rebuild, and they're going to have to adopt one of those other two strategies, either be Pittsburgh or try and do what Tampa Bay does, which is take a run every now and then and see if that works.
Yeah, that's the difficulty of a team that's, like you say, sort of in the middle of the pack, because at least Tampa Bay, they were so awful that they're probably riding on like at least 4, 5, 6 first-round number 1, number 2 draft picks. You know what I mean? Like Longoria and a couple of the pitchers and stuff are all the first pick in the draft. So it's like if you have 5 years worth of the number 1 draft pick, that's you're usually in pretty good shape.
Well, yeah, the same thing happened in any sports league. The Celtics went through a period of time where they were horrible, but eventually you hit the bottom of the barrel, and unless you make terrible decisions, you're probably going to – that's why people love going into the NBA draft lottery. You're probably going to have a shot to get a Kobe Bryant or a LeBron James, or in baseball, an Evan Longoria or somebody, and maybe build around that person. And a few others make a couple of smart free agent acquisitions, not some guys who are in their mid-30s and on the downturn, but, pick up a couple of players in maybe their late 20s who still have a few good years left, but they're not stars, but they can be solid foundational players, like a Lowell, that kind of guy, and plug him into your lineup for a couple of years, and then see if you can make a run. And the one thing the Blue Jays had was pitching, and they had a bit of bad luck too. Some of their young pitchers got injured and didn't perform up to expectations. But it doesn't matter. They were still never going to be able to challenge the Yankees or the Red Sox the way the Rays did, and they're not going to for the next 5, maybe 6, 7 years.
Yeah.
So if you live in Toronto, tough luck.
That seems to be the case. Now, what about our beloved Boston Red Sox? Obviously, they've made a bunch of off-season moves. A good chunk of the starting lineup is all new guys. So it'll be interesting to see how the team holds up when the season starts. But what do you think of some of these new guys?
Well, it's sort of a general comment for Boston. I think they're a team in decline, and their moment has passed. And so I haven't seen anything, and I think the dividing line for that was losing Manny or letting Manny Ramirez go, whether you like Ramirez or not or whatever. And I like Jason Bay as a player, I really do. He's a good player, and he's not there anymore either. But he was no Manny Ramirez. Manny Ramirez just had a swagger. He had something. Well, he had drugs in him too, but there was just something about Manny Ramirez that as soon as he was gone, I think that kind of said, "Wow, okay, Boston." You're in a bit of rebuilding mode. Now, the difference with Boston is they have so much money that even when they go into rebuilding mode, unless they make the worst decisions ever, they can avoid the trap the Blue Jays fell in. They can remain competitive, and if they get lucky, they might actually go somewhere. So a rebuilding mode for Boston, I think, is different than a rebuilding mode for a team like Toronto. But to me, there's no question that Boston is not a contender. I mean, they will probably squeak into the playoffs as a wild card, but they would have to get massively lucky and go on a tremendous roll. Anything's possible, but to make the World Series. And I think that's probably the case for the next couple of years because their pitching staff looks solid. I mean, they've got a bunch of pretty good guys there, but all of those guys have question marks next to their name. Beckett, Wakefield, don't even get me started on Daisuke. John Lester even. All of them good guys. If they all come together, if it all gels, then they've got a really good pitching staff. But the day in, day out lineup, I just look at it and I go, they can't compete with the Yankees. That lineup is just not competitive with New York. And there are other teams in the American League that I think can handle Boston now too. So I think they've lost a bit of their swagger. People aren't afraid of them. That's the other thing. When you had Manny in the lineup, people were afraid of you.
Yeah.
Like that guy was a game changer. And I just don't think they have a game changer in their lineup. They have some good players, but there's no game changer. And most of the other major contenders, whether on the mound or in your lineup, have somebody like that other teams fear. I guarantee you, people in the National League are going to be afraid of Roy Halladay. Every time he walks out there, somewhere in the back of the mind of the opposing team, they're going to be thinking, this is probably going to be an L, isn't it? We're not going to get a W today unless we get lucky. And I just don't think there's anybody on the Red Sox that's, no matter how many good players they have, they don't have that one great player that can do that. So
I'm in agreement with you on that. I agree. They need one more big bat and someone with a certain air about them, like a Pujols or a Prince Fielder or someone like that, like a brute. They need a brute.
Yeah.
And Big Poppy's he works best as a tandem with a brute guy.
Yeah, and the whole thing with Mike Lowell, I mean, who knows? They're all professionals, so who knows what that'll do to the clubhouse. But that was just handled poorly. And, it seems like Boston, there's a little too much drama, and there's just not enough talent to compete, certainly with the Yankees. And folks can probably figure out by the amount of times that I'm mentioning the Yankees that, much to my chagrin, they're probably going to be my pick to win the American League. But we'll wait for the prediction section. But I think there's been a differentiation, there's separation opening up between Boston and New York in the American League East. And if you're a Boston fan, that's not a good thing.
It is not a good thing, but I'm hopeful still because I watch them every day, so I will hold on hope, but.
Sure, I see at least one game a week, and sometimes even 2 or 3. And you never know. It's not like they suck. It's not like they're the Blue Jays and hopeless. The Red Sox still have a good core of talent, and they do have a good pitching staff, and they can compete. I just don't think they can compete on a consistent level that's going to see them get to the World Series. But they're definitely a playoff contender, and you never know. The Yankees get hammered by injuries or, everything rolls their way, then Boston still has enough talent, as many teams do, to get to the World Series, like a Colorado.
Exactly.
Colorado wasn't the best team in baseball when they made the World Series. Neither were the Rays. But everything fell for them. Everything went right. The right teams lost in the playoffs. Maybe they didn't have to face them. Their players got hot. I mean, Boston has that kind of talent, but they're one of those teams that has to win with everything clicking, whereas a team like the Yankees can win even if maybe not everything's clicking the way it's supposed to be clicking. And that's the difference between the two.
I'll agree with that, yeah. They are fiendish, those Yankees.
Yes, they are.
But I'm hoping for some kind of problems with their starting pitching. That's my only hope, I guess, because their lineup is just too strong, even if they lose. Well, they did lose Matsui and Damon, but they got that center fielder from the Tigers, so it's almost a push.
Yeah, Curtis Granderson, and I think it is a push. Damon's a decent player, but frankly, I'd probably rather have Curtis Granderson in the lineup. And there's just so many other people, veterans, young guys. I mean, and anytime you have Alex Rodriguez in your lineup, guess what, Boston fans? Alex Rodriguez is a game changer.
Yeah.
And you don't have a guy like that. So that you had Manny Ramirez, he was that guy. But you need an Alex, whether you like him or not, you need to get a guy like that in your lineup. And then, sure, Boston can run out like John Lester, Josh Beckett, those guys, but I got news for you. The Yankees can run out A.J. Burnett and C.C. Sabathia and Andy Pettit, who's still a good clutch pitcher. I mean, when you're looking at putting your fifth spot to young guys like Chamberlain or Hughes or whatever, and you've still got Mariano Rivera in your bullpen, where's the weakness on the Yankees roster? I just don't see a weakness. So
middle relief, maybe. That's about it.
Yeah, but they're the Yankees. They can get one or two guys halfway through the season who can plug in the middle relief hole if they really want to.
Yeah, it seems like no matter who you get, no matter what team, middle relief always blows the games, it seems. I'd like to see some kind of statistic, but I've always felt like if you're ever going to blow a game, dude, it's somehow in middle relief. Maybe that's just what it seems like, but,
No, I think you're right, but most teams, I think, have trouble with middle relief.
Yeah.
But, you can always find pitchers, whether it's from within your own organization or whether it's somebody like Chamberlain who's not working out as a starter, so you stick him in middle relief and he gives you an inning or two that you need. Or you go find a guy like Jeff Nelson and you pull him off somebody else's scrap heap and suddenly you turn him into a pitcher that can shut the place down for 2 innings. And the Yankees, with the exception of a couple of years recently where, they had some down years, they've been exceptionally good as long as Cashman's been there, at finding those people and paying for them and then getting them in their lineup. And they won the World Series, and there's a swagger back in New York. It's almost like they lost their identity for a bit, and oh my God, Boston's won a World Series. It's sort of an existential crisis in Yankee land, but they're back. It's like the Cylons. They're back, and they're pissed off, and they won a World Series, and they remember what it was like and who they are. And yeah, we are the Yankees. We're the best team in the history of baseball. Well, let's just keep winning then. And I think once that's scary. Once they have that, then they're trouble. And in Boston, it almost seems like I've been watching because we get the Boston channels up here, the sportscasters.
Yeah.
And it almost seems like the Red Sox are going back, and their fans in particular are going back to that era where it was like, we just can't compete with New York. We're good, but we're not that good, and that self-doubting thing. And it was like we were in a bizarro universe for a few years there, where Boston was actually New York and New York was Boston. But I think those days are over. I think it's gone back to the status quo.
I think a little bit, but we'll see.
Yeah,
Part of it's
I don't
just
mean
the media. I mean, they're kind of like. They're like, woe is me all the time about the Red Sox. But
it's true.
The fans are kind of, they're more, they won't stand for rebuilding. That was the big thing here in the off season, because they said that this year would be kind of a rebuilding year, and then it caused this huge uproar in Boston because we won't stand for rebuilding. That was the sort of, then they had to backtrack, and they were like, no, we don't mean rebuilding in that sense or some shit like that. So it's like, they're rebuilding, but no one wants to say it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. They won't. It's not that they won't stand for rebuilding. They won't stand for management saying they're rebuilding. There's a subtle difference there. And even when the Red Sox are rebuilding, they should be able to win 85 games. So their rebuilding year, most teams in Major League Baseball would kill for a Boston rebuilding year. But it's still, they're in a different phase, and I think there seems to be just a little more existential angst about it all, which, actually makes me feel more like a Red Sox fan again, because winning, we don't wear well. you sort of, you wander around and go, wow, did we win? It's almost like being at a bar and being the not most attractive guy, like you're the number 2 guy, and suddenly the really pretty girl in the bar says, yeah, sure, I'll dance with you, and you sort of go to the bathroom and you go, did that just happen? Was I dancing with that? Is she still out there, Fred? Yeah, well, okay, we're back, and so now she's back talking to the suave guy at the bar, and we're sitting at our table with our drink going, well, why can't it be us? And that's sort of, that's what Boston's like this year. And there you go. That's probably the strangest analysis of the Boston Red Sox that anyone's going to come up with this year.
I think so. And that includes all sports broadcasts across the board. So.
Exactly. I do my best.
All right. It's prediction time. Are you ready to rock and roll on this one?
Dum-da-da-dum.
Nice. All right, yes. Good. It's going to be quite a field this year because there's 7 guests on the baseball special plus me. That's 8 plus all the people on the forum. So we're looking at quite a battle. For supremacy.
The people on the forums don't count. Just kidding.
Dude,
you crazy forum people, I'm just kidding.
One guy on the forum had 7 out of 11. He actually beat everybody, including all the audio guests. He's going to be on the show this year, so we made a new rule. Whoever wins on the forum gets to be a guest on the show, so...
He was clearly cheating, that's what I would say.
He's just
go rightly.
He's just a crazy Yankee fan and just backed them to go all the way, and... he lucked out, so.
Well, I have news for him. I may be doing the same thing.
It's like, yeah, I've noticed that strategy seems to have come up. Okay, so let's get down to business. AL East, who do you have? I'm going to presume the Yankees.
Well, I was seriously considering the Baltimore Orioles, but I'm going to pick the Yankees, yes.
Were you really considering the Orioles or no?
No.
Actually, that brings me to another point. Since you seem very well researched this year, I will ask you, obviously we just got your pick for the AL East, but any sort of breakout team that you have in mind, not necessarily to make the playoffs or anything like that, but a team to watch maybe that might improve their winning percentage, might go from, winning an extra 20 games or something like that.
Well, wait until you hear the rest of my predictions.
Okay.
There are 2 sneaky little teams that are going to sneak in, and they are my picks for most improved teams that will make a bit of a difference this year.
Oh, so we're like on a psychic wavelength here. Okay.
Exactly.
AL Central, who you got?
Well, I'd pick the Minnesota Twins, except for Nathan, so I'm not going to. I'm going to go with your little friends, the Detroit Tigers, this year.
Ah, okay.
Got a pretty solid lineup, some decent pitching. They're not going to do anything in the playoffs, but they're going to get there.
Okay, see, we differed on this one. I was really close to backing the Tigers, but I ended up going with the White Sox. So
that was my mistake last year. I think I went with the White Sox.
We flip-flopped on that.
Yeah, it didn't work out well for either of us.
And watch now. We'll both be wrong, and the Twins will win again.
Yeah, it's going to be the Kansas City Royals. There you go.
All right, the AL West.
Well, here comes one of my little slimy picks. I'm going with the Seattle Mariners.
All right.
I think the Mariners have just enough talent, and the Angels have lost just enough talent, and Texas has a manager on cocaine. So, I'm thinking that the Mariners, will get 1 or 2 wins more than the other guys, and sneak into the playoffs again. And good, because I like Ichiro. I think he's one of the great players of all time. So, it'd be nice to see him sort of back in the playoffs.
Indeed. Now, you're not the only one to pick the Mariners, so.
True, but they are a slight trendy pick, but when you ask which teams are going to improve, well, I'm saying there's a team that's probably going to be 10, 15 wins better than they were last year.
Absolutely, and I think the Angels will the opposite of improve. I don't know, least improved.
Yes.
They're going to devolve.
They're in that category of teams like the Red Sox in a sort of decline, and the question will be whether they can sort of weather the storm or not. So.
Okay, and then the AL wild card.
I was really considering the Kansas City Royals, but I can't do that. I'm going to pick the Red Sox, and partly out of loyalty and partly because, you know what, of all the teams that are left, they still have a half-decent lineup and good pitching, and it should be enough to get them into the playoffs.
Fair enough. Now, you're breaking the hearts of Baltimore and Kansas City fans. You'd never consider either of those teams, did you?
The weird thing, no. And the weird thing is I actually quite like Kansas City. And I couldn't care less about Baltimore, but I kind of like the Royals. They're like the cute, fluffy little teddy bear that never threatens anybody because they can't possibly win. But they do have a really, really great young pitcher there, and he's fun to watch. So Kansas City's worth watching 1 out of every 4 or 5 games.
Yeah, when they play your team.
Yeah, or any team. I'm a big fan of pitching. I was never a big offense guy. I mean, tonight the long ball didn't do it for me. So I can legitimately state with no hypocrisy that the whole Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa era, I didn't like it anyway. And so count me in on one of those people who was never a fan of theirs. Now, to be fair, I did like good pitching, and Clemens and a few others were juiced too. But when you see a guy like, what's his name, Greinke,
yeah.
Grinjo, I don't know, Zach. I'll just call him Zach.
There you go.
Kansas City boy. He's just fun to watch. It's just a pleasure to watch a guy like that pitch. And so I don't care. They could be playing Baltimore, and I'd probably want to watch.
Okay, the National League East?
The Philadelphia Phillies.
All right.
Or, as I like to call them, Roy Halladay Phillies.
Or the National League Yankees.
Pretty much, yeah.
What they're becoming. The National League Central, who you got?
I've got the St. Louis Cardinals.
It's going to be a tight one this year.
Well, yeah, but the Cardinals they got
No, I mean amongst all of our picks.
Oh, are we all picking the same teams?
Relatively, with a few, it's going to come down to the AL Central or juxtaposed wild card type picks.
I think we all learned from last year. Hey, yeah, I guess it's trendy to pick the Texas Rangers, but no, let's stick with solid picks.
And, as I was saying I forget if it was Lauren or Jason who I talked to earlier today, it seems like the window's closed now on the Cubs. They had the chance a couple years ago, and they just blew it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's over for the Cubs. They're entering a rebuilding mode as well. So the Cards, they just keep chugging along. They've got a good, solid team, good, solid management, and I don't know. The decision to bring Mark McGwire back is loopy, but other than that, they make good decisions. So they're always a contender.
Okay, the National League West. This one's going to be hotly contested as well, I think.
The Los Angeles Doyeros.
Okay. I just can't seem, and I'm going to talk about this with Bishop when I talk to him tomorrow night, but I just can't seem to get behind the Dodgers. I don't know what it is, and they always prove me wrong every year so far for the last 2 or 3 years. So I don't know.
Well,
I'm not behind them this year at all.
I think it has something to do with it's hard to bet against a team that has Joe Torre managing it.
Yeah.
And, they've got an awful lot of good talent there. And I have to have somebody to cheer for when I go out to visit Greg later this summer, so I'll cheer for the Dodgers.
Fair enough. And the National League wild card.
Well, here's another one of my sort of little slightly weird picks, although they're not that weird. I'm going for the San Francisco Giants.
All right, nice.
Because I like the pitching staff. Their offense is still mediocre, but they've got, once you can start with Lincecum and work your way down through, even Barry Zito now seems to have acclimated to San Francisco.
Yeah.
And he's their, 3 or 4 guy? So I wouldn't mind having Barry Zito as my 3 or 4 guy. They've got a good pitching staff, and I think that's probably enough to get them in. Although, you know what? The Atlanta Braves look good. They've got a good team, and it's Bobby Cox's last year, so maybe they would be my other choice.
Yeah, that's my wild card pick. So,
but I'm going to pick the Giants. Little out in a limb there.
Fair enough.
And then I have the Giants and the Mariners in the World Series. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, Jesus. You sound like O'Reilly now. Who do you have for the American League champions?
Well, I got the Yankees.
Fair enough. And in the National League?
I've got the Phillies.
All right. So a rematch.
Indeed.
And then, who do you have to win it all?
2 words for you. Roy Halladay. He is a difference maker, and he is going to lead the Phillies back to the promised land. 6 or 7 games over the Yankees.
Wow. All right, I like this. I like the boldness of this call.
Yeah, I like Cliff Lee, but Roy Halladay's a better pitcher, and that's what they were missing last year, as far as I'm concerned, was that one guy that could knock down 2 or 3 guaranteed wins. And that's going to be Halladay. He will change. They're already a great team, but he will change the culture there a little bit. And, they're going to take the Yankees out.
Nice. I like that. All right. It's going to be a very tight race here in the Banal League, but there's just enough disparity between all the different picks that I think we'll have an undisputed winner. And you'll be happy to know that the Kimball rule actually had to be used in effect this year because Bishop and Lauren Coleman tied, and then I had to use transposed picks to break the tie. So transposed picks do count for something.
It's just nice to know that there is a rule named the Kimball rule. So it flatters my ego, which is considerable.
Yeah, and it doesn't involve any urine testing.
Well, that's the part about it I don't like, but okay, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, did you say testing or tasting?
Testing or tasting.
Never mind.
Yeah.
The less we say about that, the better. Always good to keep my private life out of radio shows.
Yeah, let's keep your urine off the show. On that note, I thank you again for coming on the show. What's going on with you here in the future? You got a movie coming out soon or what? What's up with the vampire movie?
Yeah, 2 weeks. It premieres in Halifax. I'm just waiting for the email confirmation from the theater, but April 16th or 17th, but it should be the 16th. And then it'll be, they're taking it to Cannes, not to screen in Cannes, but it's a major film market, and hopefully it'll be on TV, DVD, in your theaters, whatever. We have a distributor out of L.A., so once I finish the film, it's up to them. But it's been a long time. It's taken longer than it should have, but I get sidetracked with ghost hunting for a year in between. So now that the ghost hunting's over, we finally finished the film. So, after that, it looks good in the fall to go into production on my next feature, which hopefully will have a budget with 7 figures, not 6, which is the science fiction one that I co-wrote with the late Mac Tonys.
Nice. That's Doing Time, correct?
Yes, although the title might be changing to the Omega Protocol, which sounds more science fiction-y and filmy.
Certainly does.
Yeah, I was going to call it Avatar 2, but my lawyers tell me that that's probably not a good idea. So,
is this going to be filmed in 3D?
Well, yes, in the sense that everybody who's working on it, we will be in a 3D universe as we're working on it, but it's going to be, unfortunately, in a 2D universe.
Well, while I have you here, what do you make of this 3D, as a filmmaker, what do you make of this 3D fad? I'm disgusted by it, to tell you the truth, especially once I heard that Jackass 3 was going to be in 3D. It's like you're ruining I just don't like it. But what do you think, because you're a filmmaker?
I think 3D is fun for animation. Isn't there some new dragon film that's out now? Yeah, kids chasing dragons or whatever. I mean, it's cute for stuff like that, or Up. It can work. I think it worked for Avatar because Avatar is basically an animated film. And I saw Avatar, and I don't think it should have won a Best Picture Oscar, and it didn't. I don't even think it should have been nominated. But I recognize the technical achievement. I enjoyed the film, and it's sui generis, as we lawyers would say. Although the next Avatar, they'll make it in 3D too. But I don't think it's the way that filmmaking is going to go or should go. But I think it works on a case-by-case basis for those rare films that fit the 3D mold, and Avatar was one of them. But I think, you're going to make The Hurt Locker in 3D, or the latest Sandra Bullock comedy in 3D? Well, who cares? For those kind of films, which is the vast majority of films, I think regular 2D is fine, and that's usually the way it's gone down and the way it's happened. The only possible thing, Tim, not to natter on about this, but the only possible thing that might actually change it is the overwhelming success of Avatar, the amount of money that they've made off of that thing. But it won't change the way that films are made, like those Sandra Bullock films. What will happen potentially is they'll just stop making them, or they won't make as many. And they'll say, hey, you know what? Instead of spending $50 million to make 6 romantic comedies that probably won't make their money back, why don't we just spend $300 million to make one Avatar-like film, put it in 3D, and make $3 billion? And that might be the new economic model that's coming for films, and if it is, I think that's a horrible development, not only for filmmakers, but for film goers, too. And it will squeeze out the so-called middle class of filmmaking, which is basically anyone who wants to make a film between $10 million and about $100 million might become a thing of the past, and that would be bad.
Wow. On that note, what about Best Evidence? There we go. Sorry. What about Best Evidence? I know we've been waiting for the U.S. DVD release for a while. Any news on that?
Well, we changed distributors. Our old distributor, we finally politely parted ways with them. They just didn't get UFO films. What we're going to do is redo the narration, which has been the single most vehement criticism that most people have had against the film. We used, as you know who we used, young actress. And
I'm well familiar with that, yes.
And people... It's not necessarily that they don't want to hear a woman's voice. They just don't want to hear that woman's voice, I guess. So we're going to go back to it'll probably wind up being me narrating it. And we're going to be working on that in about a month once we finish up all the paperwork on Eternal Kiss. And then, it should be out on DVD, knock on wood, probably by the early summer. Because we now have a distributor in the United States that distributes most of my other UFO-related films that understands that market. So.
Excellent. All right, well, it was great, as always, having you on the show, Paul. We'll have you back again, I'm sure, in the future. And good luck with all the other stuff.
Always fun to be here, Tim, and talk to a fellow Boston Red Sox fan.
You're listening to Banal of America Audio.
Continuing onward here with the 2010 BOA Audio Baseball Special, we've got longtime Banal of America friend and still reigning record holder for most appearances ever on BOA Audio. Once he heard that we managed to squeeze Adam Go Rightly on, he roused himself from the sickbed to appear on the program so he could nullify Go Rightly's appearance. He is really battling the elements in a big way here this week, this year for the special. He's sick as a dog, but much like his National League West counterpart, Adam Go Rightly, he's fighting through it and ready to take on the competition here on the BOA Audio Baseball Special. Of course, he's the author of the hugely popular Project Beta. That's a must-read for any serious student of ufology. And he's the host of Radio Mysterioso, which airs on Sunday nights. You can find out more about that at his collective blog, UFO Mystic. He is, of course, Greg Bishop, as I said, longtime friend of the program. Welcome back, Greg.
Thanks for having me back. Listen to my great voice. You know what? Right before you called, when you woke me up, I had a dream that I wrote a new book.
Really? Tonight or?
Just now when you called.
Strange.
I had a dream that I wrote a new book, and for some reason it had to do with Frankenstein, Dracula, UFO abductions, and UFOs in general, I guess. So Frankenstein, Bigfoot, and it was Frankenstein, Dracula, and UFOs.
Wow.
I don't know why, but that was the subject of the book, and I wrote it, and apparently I wrote it in like an hour or something.
Oh, my God. I think that's a sign you have to go forward with this book.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Oh, man. So, yeah, you're not doing too well. You're barely hanging on there, but you've managed to make it onto the baseball special, so I appreciate that quite a bit.
I can't miss the baseball special, especially when Adam's been on. Why, is he sick too?
No, he's traveling to like some strange African country.
Oh yeah, he went to Africa because it's for his work, I think.
Yeah, although I like to believe that he's trying to be adopted by Angelina Jolie.
Or Madonna, or did she stop that? She got in trouble, I think, after a while.
Yeah, they were like, you can't just take anyone you want. You gotta pick orphans, not just kind of orphans.
I like Angelina Jolie because she's a pilot and a flying nut, and that means she's okay with me.
I didn't know she was a pilot.
Yeah, she's a pilot. Got the money, why not?
Exactly. So we got quite the season on our hands here starting out. As I was saying to Kimball when he was on the show, for some reason I just can't get behind the Dodgers. I think maybe it's just because I'm in the American League East and they're National League West. Like the whole division's like as far away from me as possible. So it's like,
well, of course you can't get behind him, and there's no reason you should. Although, except I guess on general principles, yes. But yeah, I'm kind of worried about them because they've lost some good people. Their core is going to come through this year, I think, and get them in contention. I don't know if it's going to get them to the World Series, but it is going to get them higher than people think they are. They will, I believe.
Yeah. What is the outcome or potential outcome of this whole divorce thing? For folks who don't know, I guess apparently the owner of the Dodgers is getting divorced, and it sounds like the team is, one of the assets or something like that, right?
Well, they're fighting over the assets, and that's keeping them from spending or kept them from spending on anybody that was on the market. There weren't a lot of great people on the market, but there were some people, especially some of the pitchers they should have picked up, whose names I cannot think of right now. Can you help me out?
Like Lackey?
Yeah, like him, like anyone. They picked up nobody. I mean, Garrett Anderson, who cares? He's not going to do anything. They picked him up to be a lefty bench. And everything's been declining on him in the last couple of years. Who else did they get? God, well, they got rid of Eye Chart, Mankiewicz.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was called Eye Chart till sometime 6 months after he got signed by the Dodgers, and I thought that was hilarious.
Is that because he makes errors or something?
No, he's called Eye Chart because his name is spelled so weird.
Oh, yeah.
Minctcizz.
Yeah, it's like it should sound like Minkiewicz or something like that, but
yeah. Monkey Wiki. He got rid of him. God, but they got a good knuckleballer, that guy Charlie Hager, who just made the opening day roster, I think, as of today.
You can't go wrong with a knuckleballer.
No, and he's doing pretty good. And then Billingsley melted down today. I was watching the game.
Yeah.
Which he's good at. And Kershaw is doing even better than he was before, which is nice to see. So they've got two total potential aces there that have been coming along really nicely. And Kuroda mowed him down today too, which kind of pleasantly surprised me. He got 11 in a row.
Oh wow, nice.
So, I think the pitching isn't where it could be, but it's nothing to be really frightened about.
How's Manny look?
He could go either way. And the reason that it might not be bad, the reason he might not go in the negative direction is because contract year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with that, because he was, you'd think that, he was off for 50 games, so he got kind of rusty. He was rusty the rest of the year.
Yeah, it wasn't a good year for him, last year, obviously. He
started off like gangbusters, but he started off for Manny okay.
Yeah.
Maybe a little better than average for Manny, and then he got suspended, and then he came back and he didn't really do dick for the rest of the year. Never there when you need him and all that. So we'll see what happens this year. I think in spring training he's been just average. One guy that's been hitting the cover off the ball out of nowhere is Blake DeWitt. He's got a 400 average this spring. They're going to stick him at second right away.
Oh wow, nice.
because he's been hanging out in the minors with them for a couple of years, I think. One of those up and down guys. And they let Hudson go, so they had to get somebody to fill that in. And he doesn't have the range that Hudson had, but his bats, as far as we've seen, is probably a lot better. So maybe the range will come. I don't know. Jamie Carroll was playing shortstop today, and he was spearing everything. So he's going to be for Kyle's backup, so we'll see.
Interesting. All right. Nice. Now, I'm hearing a lot of buzz about the Rockies, being that they're in your territory. Are you hearing it too, or what? What do you think?
Yeah, everybody's excited about them again. I must admit, I don't really know anybody else on other teams, just a few scattered superstars. And then when you get into the year, I get to know them a little bit better.
Yeah, and then, yeah.
If you ask me right now, I probably couldn't tell you anybody on the Rockies.
Yeah, I only know Jeff Francis because I remember him from their playoff run a few years ago. That's it.
Yeah, the buzz, I was about to say the stink I've heard about them is that they're probably going to take the West. And from what I've read, even though taking into account my past statement, I can't remember who's on the team. Considering what I've read and how they've done in the past few years, I tend to agree.
Yeah, they're a sleeper team, that's for sure.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
You know, San Diego is not a sleeper team. So San Francisco, and I'm not sorry to add them, is not a sleeper team, and neither is Arizona maybe.
So you're not feeling it for the Giants still? Well, obviously, because you're a Dodgers fan, but in general?
That'd be fair if they thought they were going to do even well, but I don't think they will. They're still trying to climb out of the hole for the last few years where they were just all old guys.
Yeah.
And everything was built around Bonds. So they have to recover from that, and it takes a while.
Exactly. Yeah. So we'll see what happens with them. Obviously, the Padres are fucking awful. I can't even think of anyone except for that Adrian Gonzalez guy who's like barely hanging on.
You know what's really funny is they didn't include him in any of their, as far as I know, in any of their marketing for this year. It's like, what does that tell you?
Yeah, it sounds like he's not long for there.
Yeah, well, somebody ought to pick him up, like the Dodgers. Unfortunately, the Dodgers have a pretty good first baseman, Loney.
Just goes back to that old DH thing, you know?
Yeah.
So you got to put him someplace. So how did you feel last year when Manny got suspended? Were you pissed or just sort of like, you know, threw your hands up?
I was surprised.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't get morally outraged at stuff very much. It's just I think that's the people that have weak constitutions get morally outraged. It's like it's not, especially about people taking steroids in baseball. I mean, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting, and it's something that, you know, all the associated issues that go along with it, like, you know, what about the stats? What about the children? You know, stuff like that. Yeah, I suppose there's a problem. But, you know, it was more like, I think I had the reaction of most people in L.A., and not probably for the same reasons. It's just like, damn it.
Yeah.
What'd you do that for? Now my tickets aren't worth as much, and I don't get to see you play. And I thought it was selfish of him, but that was about it. Then I was like, oh, well, I'll just wait till he comes back, see what happens.
Exactly, yeah. Well, he's kind of a moron, so...
Yeah.
Like a savant. I think that's what they call him, you know, a hitting savant. So that kind of is in line with him, you know.
Yeah, I heard that about him, but that totally makes sense. He'd have problems reading Cat in the Hat, but he can hit a ball 100 miles.
Exactly, yeah. So now you're going to be going to some games this year, I presume. You usually do out there in L.A., so what can we expect? What's on the docket for you?
Well, just a second. Let me grab these tickets. Yeah, I remember doing this last year with you, telling which games we had.
You got some good interleague. It's going to be some. I know the Dodgers are playing. I think they're coming to Boston though. The Dodgers. I'm not sure.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, and then the Yankees are coming out there. So you get some interesting.
I'll tell you how long ago Boston was here. When they came out here, when I saw them, the Dodgers swept Boston.
Wow.
That was a long time ago. I don't know, maybe like what, 2002, 3, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Okay, I got opening day. That's with Arizona.
Nice.
Then we got Giants, of course. You can't miss them ever.
Oh, yeah.
On 3 days later. Rockies, Then I can tell you who the names of some of the people's on the team. Astros, hell of it. I don't know. How do you think the Astros will do?
You know, I really don't know. They got their new coach is the former Red Sox bench coach, but I don't know much about, like the Rockies, you know, I don't know much about who's on their team other than Lance Berkman.
Yeah, a few years ago they were like making noises about becoming better, but then I haven't heard about much about them since then.
Yeah, so I expect they'll probably finish like third in that.
Which is why it's bobblehead night, which is probably why I bought a ticket for that game. Yeah, Detroit, some interleague. I've never seen Detroit play.
That should be cool. Detroit's a pretty good team, so.
Braves, who are probably going to do quite well. Yeah. Cardinals, who, you know, of course, everybody in L.A. hates now, so you have to go see them.
Yeah.
One of the Yankees games.
Nice.
The only way you can get tickets to the Yankees games is if you buy a ticket package or season tickets.
I read that, yeah.
And then if you do that, you only get one set.
Jesus.
So they're being dicks.
Yeah, I'll say. Damn.
Marlins. Is it the Marlins that might do it? What's the other team in Florida?
The Rays.
The Rays. Yeah, I think that. Yes, last year I predicted they get up there pretty high, and this year I'll do the same. Cubs. I've got tickets for all 3 Cubs games because I have a Cubs fan here who still refuses to go unless the Cubs get to the World Series. He refuses to watch or go to a Cubs game ever again.
Oh,
He's
boy.
mad at them.
That's some level of commitment.
Yeah, and I keep saying, it's free, I'll take you to a Cubs game. Nope, ain't doing it.
So if they're in the World Series, he's not going to watch?
No, he only watches if they get to the World
Series. Oh, if, okay. Oh, shit. That takes half the fun out of the magical ride.
Yeah, he won't watch them, he won't buy any of their merchandise, he won't listen to them on the radio, and he won't even go to a game that's paid for by a friend of his for his birthday. He's really pissed at him. He said also it saves him a lot of money. I don't know how it saves him a lot of money being in L.A., but he says it does. Maybe time. I don't know. Giants again. Mets. Going to go see the Mets and how bad they suck this year. Padres because it's a bobblehead night. Rockies again. Reds, who will probably do Midland, fair to Midland this year.
Yeah, about
Phillies because I hate them now. And then towards the end of the year, we got Giants, Rockies, stinking Padres again, D-backs, which might be interesting at the end of the year there. And that's about it.
Wow. See, that's awesome. I'm so envious. Every year I hear you on here, and I get more and more envious. You see, like, all the great teams that are in the league. I didn't even hear any stinkers really in there, you know. Most of them are at least intriguing matchups if they're not, you know, A-list teams. So.
Well, if you moved out, well, you'd still be a Boston fan if you did. Because Boston, you know, those big market East Coast teams their ticket structure is made up for a bunch of rich people. That's about it.
Yeah, and season ticket holders who fucking have had the tickets forever.
Yeah, they've had the season tickets since like the Stone Age or something. Oh, my great grandfather had these in 1882 when, you know, when King Kelly was playing for the whatever, you know.
Yeah. Any crazy stories from your games last year? Did you see any fights or anything, or?
God, what was memorable from last year? Some of the playoff stuff was memorable. There was one game that it was a playoff game, and who was it?
Were you at the game when the dude dropped the ball?
Yes. That was abso-fucking-lutely unbelievable. And they went on to win that one. I mean, that's you know, if they didn't win, who cares?
Exactly. Yeah.
God, who was that?
It was them against the Cardinals, and Holiday. I think he's the left fielder. Botched the routine.
Oh yeah, and he caught it in his crotch.
Yeah.
He put the glove out and it hit him right in the dick. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. It was quite the meltdown there for.
Yeah, if only they could have kept that momentum going, but they went back to St. Louis and they showed them what's what. Did the Dodgers win at least 2 with them?
I think the Dodgers won. They won the series. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. They won the series. That's right. Because they won the series. I remember I was in Monument Valley when that happened. I was listening on the radio. Yeah, and then they went to play the Phillies, who had lunch with them. So.
Yeah, that's the second year in a row now Dodgers have got to the championship round. So you hope that they get it together. Both times they've been thwarted by the Phillies, so I guess that's why they hate them now, I presume.
Yeah, you know what? I think if they get close this year in a classy way, that Torrey will stay one more year.
Oh yeah, that's the big thing. Is he gonna? That's what you think. But if they don't even, if they kind of do middling or whatever.
If they win it all, or if they don't even get close, he's going to quit.
Interesting. Who do you think will be the new guy there? Don Mattingly?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
It's funny though. You think Joe Torre looks even more mellow on the field, and then you see some of if you're at the game or you catch something on TV, you can see him being pretty damned intense with some people. But the thing is, nobody knows about it. That's what's so cool about him.
Yeah,
he doesn't embarrass you in front of everybody, but he doesn't need to. If you're screwing up, you know it really quickly. And if you're screwing up and it's not your fault or whatever, he'll come out and I've seen him out there talking to people, being a shrink for like 10 minutes, pitchers or whoever.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be sorry to see him go. I mean, in New York, he almost not really autopilot, but I think it was a whole different culture.
Yeah, that's more like managing the circus around you and everything else than as much as the game on the field, it seems.
Yeah, and out here, there's this culture of being mellow and all this, but the thing is that it's sort of like Hollywood. People have this thing, people out in Hollywood are all mellow, and people in the film industry everything's cool. Even I think people know exactly what's going on. They just don't choose to react with panic.
Yeah.
And they don't choose to react to wear their heart on their sleeve, but they know exactly what's going on, and they know exactly what to do when people are smart to take care of it. And strangely enough, I think that's how Torrey is.
Indeed.
People ask me about that. It's like, what's it like to work? I haven't really worked on films except with Paul, and then a couple times a real long time ago in L.A., and it's the same in post-production. You have to know exactly what you're doing and do it exactly right every single time, or you're out. If there's nothing to do for hours at a stretch, nobody gives a shit or gets on you for it, because they know that you're there doing your job when you're supposed to. It's a really weird thing. I mean, suddenly somebody says, this has to be done right now. So you have to do it right now, and you have to not screw up. It's not as mellow as you think.
Yeah, I don't know how I'd handle that.
And I think that's how it is in baseball, too. I mean, pay attention, don't make mental errors. I think that's the worst. Mental errors, physical errors, people can take. Mental errors, you don't get many chances on those.
Yeah, like your boy Milton Bradley thinking there was 3 outs instead of 2, and he threw the ball back into the stands last year.
Yeah.
He's such a clown, that guy.
Who got saddled with him this time?
The Seattle Mariners. Yeah. So we'll see how they do. Rich Dolan already said they're not going to do well because of the Milton Bradley effect. So we'll.
You know what? He might be right, because I had put the Mariners on here, but it's like I didn't realize the Milton Bradley effect.
They're hoping that Ken Griffey Jr. can mellow him out, but I heard he already got kicked out of like 2 back-to-back spring training games. Yeah, and then they asked him like something about if he had issues with a guy or something, and he's like, I've never played in the minor leagues, and that's a minor league umpire, so I don't know anything about him. I was like, oh, dude, just keep your mouth shut, please.
Bradley's, he's a baby, and he always has been.
Yeah, it's unbelievable how fucking trouble seems to follow him wherever he goes, and it's like, Jesus, dude. All right, it's time for predictions. Now, last year, you tied with Lauren Coleman. We had to go to the transposed picks, and Lauren nearly edged you out and won the championship. So you're so close. You're like the Dodgers here. I think you will have a serious fighting chance this year. Although Go Riley's in it to win it this year. He's not using any serious tricks up his sleeve, so we've got even more contention than ever before. He's using what I call the Go Riley Moneyball approach, where he just picks teams with the highest salaries. Which is a pretty smart way of doing it, I think. Once I saw his picks, I was like,
you know what? That's funny. That's like the opposite of Moneyball.
I know. That's why I call it Go Right.
Again, for that reason, that's what makes the joke good.
All right, so we'll start in the National League. Who do you got in the National League East?
Phillies.
All right.
Of course.
Yeah, I think that one's across the board. I think everybody went with the Phillies. The Central.
Cards.
All right.
Everybody go with them?
Yeah, I think so. Someone might have picked the Cubs, but it's pretty – those two are almost – I think those two are the only ones that are almost definitely across the board the same way. Then there's some shake-up as we go along. So, National League West.
I hate to say it, but Rockies.
All right. And the wild card.
This I don't hate to say, Dodgers.
All right. Okay, in the American League East?
Because I hate the Yankees so much, I'll do it again. Boston.
Nice. And the Central?
Chicago.
Nice. Yeah, so there's just enough disparity between the picks that I think we'll have a winner, and it'll be very close this year, I think, across the board. The West, American League West.
Angel.
All right.
I think that's what I said last year.
I think so. And, I see I'm watching baseball tonight, and they're saying, don't count them out and all this other shit. So I think I might be looking at another dismal pick on my end, because I took the Mariners this year, so.
For what? For West?
Yeah.
That's funny. I put them for the next category, wild card.
Wow, interesting. All right. They have a great 1-2 punch there with those two pitchers, so they should be good, but we'll see. Plus, you got to figure, I think they must have some kind of home field advantage for being in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it must hurt for, road games, but when teams have to travel up there, it's got to take a toll out of those folks, so.
Yeah, there's nothing else around there.
Yeah, and just to get there, you got to fly all the way across the country, and even if you fly out to, Anaheim to play the Angels, just to fly up to Seattle, you still got to fly, up the whole coast, so.
Yeah, I mean, everybody else is kind of in a row down the coast.
Yeah.
But what's the next place? Arizona. But then you got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams out here.
Yeah.
So.
Well, they're talking about putting a team in Oregon, so maybe they will eventually and structure things out a little bit more.
Yeah, they should put one in, well, not really. I was going to say they should put one in Vegas, but then that would wipe out the 51s. And then where would I spend my money?
All right, the American League champs?
I'm going to go way out on a limb here and say Mariners.
All right.
Just for the hell of it.
Hey, these are how championships are won here in this league. National League champs.
Yeah. See, I went with the wild card winner for the AL, but not for the NL.
Who you got for the NL?
Cardinals.
All right. As I was saying to Rich Dolan when we had him on the show, even though the Yankees won so handedly last year, nobody on the special even picked them to win. So it's like...
Yeah, it was because they were doing so crappy for a while.
Yeah.
Well, crappy for the Yankees.
Yeah, and now, now I wouldn't say they're prohibitive favorite, but they've gotten their fair share of votes. All right, now to win it all, the Mariners or the Cardinals?
Probably Cardinals.
All right.
Who won last year?
The Yankees.
Oh, that's right. What am I saying? Yeah, that's exactly why I said the Cardinals, because I'm sick of seeing AL teams being cleaning up.
Well, the Phillies won last year, so it's not totally, 2 years ago, so it's not
Yeah, but before that, I think it's mostly been AL, and then every All-Star game for the last century.
I know, that's maddening, because you want to, I'm even cheering for the National League in the All-Star game. It's like, oh, come on, dude. I think 1 year, a couple of years ago, they were winning 3-1 or something, and then in the top of the ninth, they fucking gave up 3 runs or something to blow the game.
Who was that?
That was the game in Yankee Stadium, I think.
Oh, okay.
But I'm not sure who all the... Yeah, that was the game that went super long, I think, actually. Yeah, because there was some debate, and they were talking about having J.D.
Well, that's right, because Steele cut it off 1 year, and then there was this other long one, and he realized if he did it again, he'd probably be lynched.
Right. And they were talking about using position players to pitch, and now they changed it so you can, they added a couple extra pitchers. And
Yeah.
Yeah, well, after that tie, that's when he added the whole thing about with the World Series advantage. So then it had to be they had to have a finish to the game, so.
I kind of like that.
I do too, actually, because at least it means it has some bearing on the overall end of the season and everything.
Where's the All-Star game this year?
I don't know. I think part of me wants to say Anaheim, but I think that's actually in another year.
Yeah.
But so I'm thinking it must be some National League team.
This has nothing to do with baseball.
Yeah.
But I found it interesting. I was at work bored while people were doing other stuff, and I wondered, when does the next total eclipse come over the United States? It's in 2017, and it comes straight over the middle of the United States. It starts in Washington State, goes all the way across the middle of the United States, going southeast, and leaves the coast in North Carolina. It's going to be totally awesome, and I'm going to have to go find a place to see it. Because I want to see a total eclipse of the sun during my lifetime.
Well, that's better than a total eclipse of the heart.
Yeah, I guess so. Especially who did that horrible song? Lee Raider? No.
Some lady. I don't know. Oh, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but Klaus Nomi, the weirdo German cross-dressing bisexual new wave artist, did a song called "Total Eclipse of the Sun." So.
Oh, nice. Yeah, the All-Star Game is in Anaheim this year. You should get tickets.
Oh, damn it! Now I'm gonna have to go spend some more money.
Bonnie Tyler is the one who sang "Total Eclipse of the Heart."
That's right. Remember, I said Bonnie Raitt. I was like, no, that doesn't sound right. Wow, Anaheim. That's right.
At least, you know what you could probably get tickets for is the Home Run Derby, but I don't know. Every year I get excited for it. The first, hour is really great, and then somehow they stretch it to, fucking 3.5 hours, and it's like... you know what else you might like, actually? I wish they'd bring an All-Star Game to Boston. They do, a celebrity and legends game.
Oh, yeah.
You might like that, I bet, because they probably mix in Dodger legends. I bet you Tommy Lasorda manages, the home team of celebrities or some shit like that.
He could move. God, he can barely move now.
Yeah, all right. So I guess that wraps up the baseball special. You have to give us an update if you end up going to the All-Star Game.
I'm gonna do everything I can to try and make it the All-Star Game. That would be the I don't use the word awesome, but that would inspire awe.
It's pretty cool. I bet it. Yeah, because that's that's even more rare than the playoffs, because you have to just be lucky enough to have it around you, and then you got to get the tickets, and it's only one game. So yeah, I'd be thrilled to go to an All-Star Game.
Yeah, it'd be excellent. I went to the last time I was at the Angels Stadium was Kimball and I went to see. I think Boston played there, so Kimball and I went to see that. Before that was a playoff game. And when did the Angels go to the series last time? 2001 with the Giants?
Yeah, thereabouts. 2001 or 2, something like that.
A playoff game there. I was in the second to last row. It was the loudest game I'd ever been to. I think they were in a playoff with not the Twins. I can't remember. It was some Central League division team.
I think it was probably the Twins, because up until 2004 or 5, those other teams were kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel as it is. So.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's a nice stadium. The first baseball game I ever went to in my life was there, because we were living in Anaheim at the time.
Yeah, but before the new stadium was built, right?
No, it's the same stadium.
Oh, really? I thought that was new with the waterfall and the rocks and shit and all that.
Renovated it, but I think it's the same stadium.
Oh, wow.
I don't think they tore the old one down and built a new one.
Oh, okay.
Because it's in the exact same spot. I think they still have that big ugly halo-looking thing out in the parking lot that looks like an A. That's been there since I was a kid. How long have the Angels been there? Since the early '60s?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, early '60s, because they were the Pacific Coast League Angels.
Oh, weird.
And they played in somewhere in L.A. The Hollywood Stars played at at Gilmore Stadium, which is the Farmers Market right now. It was next to the Farmers Market.
Weird.
I was watching a Three Stooges short the other day, and it was shot at Gilmore Stadium. It's look, it's Gilmore Stadium where the Hollywood Stars used to play. And the Hollywood Stars and whatever the Angels played for, they apparently hated each other, and they had some of the best fights ever. To the point where cops were called and there were riots and stuff.
Oh boy.
I have a Hollywood Stars jersey I got from a reproduction company.
Nice. He's hardcore, folks. Just like I said, had to drag himself out of bed for this. So that sort of wraps up the baseball part. What do you have cooking in Greg Bishop land for the rest of 2010?
My Falcon article for 40 and Times. I've been turned on to a publisher in Europe. We'll see what happens with that. I may just write a book on my own, which is really tough for me, without a publisher or anything.
Yeah.
And just self-publish it, which sucks, but I might have to do it that way. Sort of along the lines of what Mac did, but a little bit different. Keep doing my show. I don't know. It's funny. Your whole life gets kind of turned off, and I've been sick basically for 3 weeks now, off and on. And then the past 3 or 4 days, I've been so sick I haven't really been able to move too much, so I can't even think straight. So as far as I can tell, that's what's going on right now.
All right. Well, hey, it was great to get you back on the show. I really appreciate that you stepped up to the plate here. You could have been on the DL for this year's edition of the special. I was already getting concerned that we would have to put you on the DL, but you've gutted through it and made your presence felt on the annual special. So thanks a lot, Greg.
Okay, I hope I sounded intelligent and not too insane.
Well, this is going to be like this will be like a collector's item interview now. They'll be like, have you heard the Greg Bishop's When He's Sick episode? It'll be traded like on black market and everything else. So
yeah, I bet. Well, you know what? I'm glad you called me up. I'm glad we did it because I think it made me feel a little bit better. Made me feel like I'm sort of still in it instead of lying on the bed going, ugh. So
yeah.
You're listening to Banal of America Audio.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are wrapping up the 2010 BOA Audio Baseball Special here with a very, very special guest. Back in October of 2008, so a very long time ago, this crazy asshole kept emailing me and taunting me about the greatness of the Yankees in contrast to the Red Sox. So when the time came for the 2009 baseball special, I said, put your money where your mouth is, pal, and join up at the official BOA forum, the usofe.com, and post your picks, and we'll see how you fare against everybody else. And he shocked the world by scoring an amazing 7 out of 11 in the prediction contest, beat not only everybody on the forum, but all of the esoteric superstars who were on the 2009 baseball special. So I was left with a conundrum, and he's actually caused some rule changes in the contest by his sheer success last year. So he's the overall points winner. We gave Loren Coleman the title since he appeared on the show, and to make it up to our friend here, we're having him on the program this year on the 2010 baseball special. You can kind of say he's the disputed half champion of the baseball special, but as of this year now, whoever wins total points altogether gets absolute bragging rights, and the forum winner gets the chance to appear on the program. He is a beloved member of the BOA forum, easily one of the coolest dudes on there, goes by the moniker of Mystery Man, will reveal slightly his identity, only that he is also known as Fred, but for the remainder of the interview we'll call him Mystery Man or MM. And MM, we've been talking for a year and a half, and finally get the chance to speak with you in person. Congratulations on your stunning success in the prediction contest last year, and welcome to Banal of America Audio.
Thanks, Tim. It's a pleasure to be on. I'm a big listener of yours, and it's an honor.
Well, it's my pleasure, and I was really excited and stunned, as I said, that you did so well in the contest last year. Hopefully you don't
So was I. It's not going to happen again.
I don't know. You're doing a lot of bragging on the forum, so we'll see how it goes. Yeah, and as I said, we had no previous experience with this, with someone on the forum beating everybody else. So don't hold it against Loren, but he appeared on the show, so we gave him the title. But now you're in serious contention for everything, and you've resulted in a rule change. Congratulations.
Thank you.
for making history.
Yeah, well, I was pretty impressed with his picks, and I was pretty amazed that, he did as well as he did. Little did I know that I would do so well in the playoff picks, and that's how I ended up with the 7 out of 11. It's just, it was a fluke. I'm a Yankee fan, and I picked the Yankees, and the Phillies had won the year before, and I thought it would be, just natural that the two teams would meet in the World Series, and I figured it would be a tough matchup, and I figured, 6 games would be a pretty reasonable pick, and it ended up that way. So
it was pretty amazing, though. I mean, it was pretty amazing to watch it unfold. I think it was pretty cool, and you managed to get both National League and American League champs right. So it was pretty amazing. Now, how long have you been a Yankee fan, and what were you thinking when they won the championship last year?
I've been a Yankee fan since I've been 8 years old, since I was 8, and when they, with Reggie, and Guidry and Munson and Nettles, Piniella. You know, those guys, they made me Yankee fans, and, you know, what a great team. You know, so I've been a fan ever since, and I lived through the terrible 80s, you know, when Steinbrenner was trading away everybody. And then I got to enjoy, you know, finally, you know, after they suspended Steinbrenner and they let the baseball people do their job, they finally created a champion, and they won 4 championships, and, you know, before last year. And, you know, 96, 98, 99, and 2000. And, you know, it was a pretty great ride. And then I became very spoiled, and I thought they would win every year, and they didn't win from 2000 to 2009. You know, finally they won again, and it was pretty exciting, you know, as you know, because your Red Sox finally won. So it's pretty exciting when your team wins, and hopefully they'll win next year.
That's what you're hoping, but we'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to Sunday already because it's already Yankees-Red Sox showdown. It's going to be a war on the Forum as usual.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that we're already going to be beginning the next season. I mean, the 2000 season, I think it's going to be a great season, and I think the Yankees are going to do very well, and I don't think it's going to be as easy. I think the Devil Rays improved. I think you know, the Sox are always tough, so we'll see.
Now,
so where do you want to start?
What's that?
Where do you want to start, with the American League, the Yankees? Should I start, or?
Just hold on a minute. I know you want to get your predictions out there, but we have more to talk about. So what about these 2 guys that left the Yankees? Were you happy to see them go? Unhappy? I mean, they were kind of breaking down a little bit. I'm talking about Matsui and Johnny Damon.
Yeah, that's pretty devastating. I mean, you have 2 guys that are very clutch, and you know, had a lot to do with them winning the championship, you know, and it's very difficult. You know, I would have re-signed them, but you know, you know, like you said, they're up in age there, and they do have some injury problems. And you know, as a matter of fact, Damon, you know, was taken out of the last game of the World Series last year, and it's a good thing that they had already the game in hand, or else, you know, who knows what could have happened, losing that kind of a bat. But I like Granderson. I think Granderson is a very exciting player, although he has a reputation of not hitting lefties. Nick Johnson, the guy's always hurt all the time, so I don't know how good a replacement he's going to be. You know, I'm excited about a prospect that the Yankees have. His name is Jesus Montero, and they project him to hit in the future about 40 home runs. He's a catching prospect.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And he's almost ready. And I think he can be a wild card. I think he could make a big difference if they bring him up mid-season. And I think, you know, I like getting they got Vasquez, and I think he's an improvement at the end of their starting rotation.
Yeah.
Hughes, they made a starter, and I prefer him in the bullpen. Job is he finally found his place in the bullpen. But I think Hughes is going to end up. I think you know, if they do make the playoffs, and I'm sure they will, that Hughes will find his place back in the bullpen for the playoffs. And you know, I mean, the rest of the team is you know, already set. You know.
Yeah.
You know, so I think the Yankees are going to, you know, win. I think they're going to win the division, and I think the Red Sox, although they improved, I don't think they improved enough. I think it's going to be a tough competition. I think the Yankees are still a better team, but I also think that the Devil Rays have also improved.
And the Orioles.
And yes, the Orioles. But I think the Devil Rays are I think the Devil Rays are going to win the wild card. So believe it or not,
yeah.
I think the Red Sox aren't going to make it this year. I'm sorry to break it to you.
It's okay. It's okay. I've heard it in other places, not on the show yet, but it's good to, you know, that you're taking a risk here. You'll be surprised by some of the picks. Later tonight, after I get off the phone with you, I'll post all the guest picks, so you'll have a chance to see those.
Sorry to hurt your feelings, but
it's okay.
I just don't see. I don't think they improved enough. I think
they need more bats.
Lackey. Excuse me.
They need more. They need a better bat in the lineup.
Yeah,
the pitching is okay, but
Yeah, and their pitching, I mean, they got Lackey, and Lackey's a very good pitcher. I like Lackey, and I wanted him on the Yankees, but I don't know if it's enough. Like you said, their bat, they need another bat. Their hitting is pretty good, but without Manny Ramirez and Ortiz, they're not the same as they were, in the early to mid part of the last decade. So, I think they have their work cut out for them, and I really don't think they're going to make the playoffs.
Now, what's the difference, as a native New Yorker, what's the difference between a Mets fan and a Yankee fan? Is it like a geographical thing?
I live in Met country. So.
Okay, yeah.
And, and so, my dad grew up in the Bronx, and he pretty much, he had a big part in getting me interested in the Yankees, and, but I grew up in the Queens area. So, what's the difference between the Mets and the Yankees? Winning and losing.
Oh,
the Mets fans. The Mets, they have a complex, because the Yankees win all the time. And, the Mets hate the Yankees, and they hate us Yankee fans. And, I like it that way. And I loved it when we beat them in 2000. There was no better high than that. If we lost to them, I think I would have killed myself. So that shows you how big a Yankee fan I am. So,
have you had the chance to go to the new stadium yet?
Not yet, but I hope to do it soon. And it's a beautiful stadium, but it's not the same as the old Yankee Stadium, because that's where I went as a kid, and that was the real stadium. Even though it was renovated, it was. I love that stadium. So, I mean, the new stadium is beautiful, and it's big, much bigger than the old Yankee Stadium. But, it's, surprising. It's amazing. They won the first year. They won the championship the first year it opened. And, but, the old stadium is gone now. They pretty much tore it down. So, on to the new stadium and many championships in the new stadium, let's hope. Well, I hope.
For your sake, yeah. Okay, so let's get down to business here, Mystery Man. Let's do the predictions. You've got the New York Yankees for the AL East, correct?
Correct.
Okay, now American League Central, who do we have for you?
Okay, American League Central, I picked the Tigers.
All right.
And why do I pick the Tigers? Because they got Johnny Damon, and I think he always makes a difference on the team if the guy's healthy. The guy, I saw him do it with the Red Sox. I saw him do it with the Yankees. And now that Trader is on the Tigers.
Now you know how we felt.
So, absolutely. But, I didn't mind it as long as he was on the Yankees. But now, I'm a little ticked at him. But,
well, he's a mercenary.
Yeah. I think he's a fool because, he had a great thing with the Yankees. I mean, what better team to be on than the Yankees, but I'm sure the Tigers will do they'll do good with him. They'll do well with him. I think, I think they'll win 95 games.
Oh wow!
And they have very good pitching. They have Justin Verlander and Bacello, and the back end of that rotation is okay. I mean, they have Bonderman, Robertson, Scherzer. If they meet the Yankees, I think they're going to give us a tough time, if we ever faced them in the playoffs. And very good team, and they got Phil Koch, for Granderson in the Granderson deal.
Yeah. So.
And they have a lot of lefties in there, so that doesn't bode well for Granderson if he goes up
that's true.
them. So, they're a pretty tough team.
Okay, I think RSS will be happy with your call there.
Yeah.
All right, American League West.
Okay, American League West, I picked the Mariners.
Okay.
And
a lot of improvements for the Mariners this year, so.
Yes. And I think, Leon Hernandez, two great pitchers. Smith, Rowland, Snell, Pfister, pretty good pitchers. The hitting is a little weak. They have Ichiro and Figgins.
Yeah.
At the top. And then, you got Bradley Griffey, who's, washed up. And in the bullpen, you got, some very good arms in the bullpen for the Mariners. And so I picked them, and I think that they can win, in the mid-90s, 93 games maybe. Great pitching, although I think they could use a bat. And
I think it's a weak division in general, so I think they're in good shape.
Yeah.
The Angels have finally come down to the level of the other teams, so.
Yeah, they need pitching. They lost Lackey, and they need another pitcher. Yeah. And then the wild card, I picked the Tampa Bay Devil Rays.
Okay. Well, they're just the Rays now.
Right. Okay.
I'm just teasing you, dude. Rich Dolan kept calling them the Devil Rays too.
Yeah. Well, we're stuck in the past. Okay. I think their pitching is great, and I think they have, their lineup is very strong. Their pitching, they got 5 good arms. They got Shields, Gaza, Neiman, Price, Davis, and
they're an outstanding team. They're just...
Yeah, they have prospects galore, and they're going to be very tough. They have Soriano in the bullpen. They have a very good lineup. They have Carl Crawford, the future Yankee, and they have Pena, Bartlett, Longoria, B.J. Upton, Ben Zobrist. They got a great lineup.
Yeah, they're going to be tough.
And they're going to be very tough on my team and your team.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, at least we're guaranteed, each team will be guaranteed, the Red Sox and the Yankees, at least 2 more wins each now that we don't have to deal with Roy Halladay. So that's always good, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
But Roy Halladay, he's getting a little up there in age. I didn't think that giving up Cliff Lee for Halladay was that great of an idea. If you're going to make a trade, you want to get both of them in the same rotation. I don't know how much the Phillies. Well, we'll get to the Phillies next.
Yeah. Okay. So National League East, you got the Phillies.
Yeah. So I got the Phillies, and the Phillies have an excellent team, and I can't see them being beat in the National League East. They got very good pitching. They got Halladay, they got Cole Hamels, they got Joe Blanton, J.A. Happ. So they have good pitching. They have probably the best pitcher in baseball in Halladay, and so but their bullpen is something that they're going to have trouble with. They're going to have to really get find a reliable pitcher or two for the bullpen, and from what I was reading up on them, they're struggling in spring training. Contreras and Bastardo are struggling very much. Lidge, he's a head case.
Yeah.
So,
there's some cracks in the facade.
Right. But their lineup is maybe the second best in baseball. If you're going to say the Yankees have the best, they scared the hell out of me in the World Series. Utley, that guy, I've never seen a more clutch hitter than Utley. And what he did to the Yankees in the World Series, I think outdid what Reggie did in the 70s. Unbelievable. It didn't hurt that the Yankees pitched to him. I wouldn't have pitched to him. I couldn't believe they were pitching to him. The balls they were giving him. And unbelievable performance in the World Series. And I would love to have him on the Yankees. And who knows? Maybe they will. They get everybody else, don't they? I'm a Yankee fan, but I have to admit that myself. Anyway.
Okay. Now the National League Central.
Okay. The National League Central, I picked the Cardinals.
Okay.
They have very good pitching. They have Penny, Carl Loesch. They have Garcia, Wainwright, Carpenter. And they have Ryan Franklin as their closer. So very good pitching. Their lineup is excellent, one of the best. They have a very good lineup. Schumacher, Lopez, Pujols, who's maybe the best hitter in all of baseball. They re-signed Halladay, and they have Rasmus, Ludwig, Molina, Ryan, and excellent team, and I think a contender for the championship without a doubt.
So they're your pick for the Central. Right. Okay, now the National League West, which is always a toss-up. Who you got?
Okay, the West, I have to say the Dodgers.
Okay.
And they have good pitching. And they have Clayton Kershaw, Billingsley, Hiroki Kuroda. They have Vincente Padilla. And there's a toss-up from what I read for the fifth starter. But then you got their pen. They have an excellent pen.
Yeah,
Braxton.
Yeah.
and he had 36 saves and 114 strikeouts.
Yeah, they have a great bullpen.
So I see them, and they got Torrey.
Yep.
At the helm, and and then they got, I don't know about Manny. I mean, I think he's seen his better days go by, but they have some pretty good. They got Athier, and they got Corota, they got Furcal, and so I think they're gonna win the West, and I think. I don't know if they're a contender for the championship. I think they're missing a little something, but I think they'll definitely win their division.
Okay. And wrapping up the divisions and all that, who do you have for the National League wild card?
Okay, for the National League wild card, I picked the Braves.
Oh.
I think the Braves are on the upswing.
Shades of my prediction.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, that's who I have in the wild card, too.
You're a very smart man. Okay, so I pick the Braves, and they have some pretty good pitching, and they have. I always liked Derek Lowe, and I always wanted him on the Yankees. I mean, he did a good job for your Red Sox.
Yeah.
And they got Tim Hudson. I like them. They're hitting. They got some good hitters. They got including Glaus, Chipper Jones. They got Hayward.
That center fielder there, the rookie, he's supposed to be unbelievable too.
Yeah, and they have some pretty good prospects I hear, and then their pen, they got Wagner and Sato. So I think they're going to win the wild card, and I don't think they're championship contenders, but I do think they will win the wild card.
All right, now American League champions, who you got?
Okay, American League champions. Let me think. The Yankees. Okay.
All right.
I'll think about that a second.
Okay, and then the National League champs.
National League champs. I predict the Yankees and the Phillies in the World Series again, and I'll pick the Yankees in 6 again.
Wow. All right.
And really going out on a limb.
All right, so you got the Yankees and the Phillies in the World Series, and Yankees winning it.
Right.
I'll even
Yankees and Phillies again, the two best teams in baseball, in my opinion.
All right, I'll even put Yankees in 6, and that'll add an additional prediction contest just between you and me. Red Sox play the Yankees 18 times this season. What's your prediction on the record there between the two of them?
I think it's going to be a draw.
A 9-9?
Yeah.
All right. Well, this will be different then. I'll say 10-8 for the Sox.
Okay. Big difference.
Well, you played it. You made it a push there on that, so I had to come up with something.
Yeah, well, the Yankees and the Red Sox, I mean, they always play each other to the death.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the best. I mean, it doesn't get better than that. I mean, Yankees and Red Sox, it's the best. I mean, that's baseball. And
it's only a few days away now.
Yep. It's going to be a really interesting season, and it's going to be very tough between the Yankees, the Devil Rays, and the Red Sox. But like I said, I don't think the Red Sox did enough. Although they do have some good prospects, so you never know. Prospects are a wild card; they can always make a difference.
Yeah.
And like I was saying, Jesus Montero of the Yankees. I'm hearing the world, the great things about this guy, I mean, that he's just a professional hitter. I mean, the guy's he's a polished, he's ready to do it in the major leagues already, I'm hearing. By mid-season, he can make a big difference,
Yeah.
And, he's a catcher, so Posada's, it's going to be a little competition there. But, from what I hear, he's not a very polished catcher at this point. So, maybe they'll probably give him some DH at-bats.
Well, those are your predictions, so we'll keep an eye on those.
Right.
And what do you have coming up? Any speaking engagements? Any books you want to plug?
Just that, I'm an artist. I'm a painter, and my paintings are going to be shown on your forum, and, I hope everybody enjoys them. That's about it.
Yeah, I was just teasing you. I know you don't have any books or speaking engagements coming up, so I figured I'd treat you just like all the rest of the guests. But we do have coming up at the official BOA forum, and we'll also make note of it at Ben All of America. We're going to be showcasing some of your paintings coming soon, and you say you have a masterpiece that's in the works. So I'm looking forward to that. Is it in the same vein as your infamous Yankee Snowman, or is it more along the lines of your more traditional style?
No, I'm pretty much. I love doing birds more than anything. I love doing nature scenes, and it's a bird picture, and it's in an autumn scene, and I hope everybody likes it. When it's finally finished.
Yeah.
And, I appreciate all the razzing about the Yankee Snowman, and keep on razzing throughout the baseball season when the Yankees take it again, and that's the Yankee mascot on the BOA forum. So hopefully it'll bring us good luck. So.
Absolutely. Well, hey, Fred, a.k.a. Mystery Man, thanks for being a good sport about this. I really appreciate that you wanted to come on the show, and you've been a huge supporter of Banal of America for a long time, so it's been great to get you on the program here, and I'm looking forward to hearing the rest of the forum denizens, not only their feedback on your appearance, but also on your really cool paintings that they haven't got a chance to see yet, and I think we're going to really take them by surprise, because they're totally different from the Yankee Snowman, so... Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing the shock and awe that I have a feeling we'll see from the forum posters when we showcase your work. And like I said, thanks again for coming on the show and for your continued support of the program.
Oh, you're welcome. And all I have to say is please be kind, everybody. Because, could be nice people on the forum, but could be a little cruel sometimes.
Oh no! Don't say that.
But, no, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
In a friendly way.
He's talking to you, RSS. You better quit picking on him.
Yeah. Oh, RSS is a great guy.
No, RSS is great.
You're listening to Banal of America Audio.
That does it for the 2010 BOA Audio Baseball Special. Want to give a huge, huge thanks to all of the great folks who made appearances here on this year's festivities. Lauren Coleman, Adam Go Rightly, Jason Offit, Paul Kimball, Richard Dolan, Greg Bishop, and the USOV.com's Mystery Man. You guys are awesome. I look forward to following the baseball season along with you this year and reconnecting not only at the end of the season when we all pour over our predictions, but also next year as we look ahead to the 2011 baseball season. You can find links to the websites of all these great folks at BOA on the show page where you found this week's edition of the program. And you can find a ton of interviews with all these great folks, except for Mystery Man, of course, at Banal of America. They've all been on BOA Audio numerous times in the past, so be sure to check out their lengthy interviews in our archive page. Moving right along now, since this episode was mammoth, we're going to skip listener feedback. That way, nobody gets the short shrift here in the feedback portion of the show. We'll bring it back on the pure BOA Audio episode, which you're going to be hearing in a couple days. So sit tight for some more BOA Audio listener feedback coming at you in about 48 hours or so. If you want to get a hold of me, that's simple. There's 3 methods to do it. You can either write to boaaudio@hotmail.com or go to Banal of America and click the contact button, or you can go to the official BOA forum, theusofe.com, theusofe.com. That's where you can post your thoughts on the latest editions of BOA Audio, as well as join up in the many cool contests we have on the forum. There's still about 5 days left for people to join up on the baseball predictions contest and get the chance to possibly appear on the 2011 edition of the baseball special. So you got the email address, the contact button at the website, or the official BOA forum, theusofe.com. Any of those methods puts your correspondence into my hands for future editions of BOA Audio listener feedback. Up next is the thanks portion of the show. Let me give a hearty kudos and thanks to the esteemed and infamous BOA staff: Leslie, Chiron, Regan Lee, Joe V, Tina Senna, Rochelle Hawks, Richard Thomas, A.M. Murphy, Marla Pena, our contributing cartoonist Andy Carolin, and our webmaster Jeremy Boston. They have been holding up the fort at BOA for the last few weeks while I've been on vacation. I want to give them a huge thanks for that. So much material that I really could not go down the list of what they've posted at Banal of America. Just want to give you all a recommendation to go over to BOA and check out their columns. Lots of thought-provoking stuff from the BOA staff. And Jeremy Boston and I have been working very hard to have all the final details worked out, hoping to get BOA 2.0 rolled out officially in the next few weeks. So stay tuned to Banal of America for that. As we say week in and week out, if you're only listening to BOA audio and you're not reading the columns at Banal of America, you're only getting half the story. BOA, make it a part of your everyday search for esoteric news and opinion. And now it's the time of the show where I turn to you with my handout and ask for donations to the program and the website. The cost of putting together a program like this and making it available for free to all the great BOA audio listeners around the world does add up, and I'd say the vast majority of those expenses come out of my pocket in particular, with help from the amazing BOA listeners who make donations. As such, I now turn to all you great folks out there who may not have made a donation yet or who may want to make a second donation and ask you to help us out and help to pay the bills at BOA HQ. How do you make a donation? That's simple. You just go to Banal of America or the BOA Audio Archive page. You'll see the PayPal button there. Click that. They'll walk you through the process. It's very, very easy. No donation is too small, and all donations go towards Banal of America and BOA Audio to keep the entire enterprise up and running, freely available, and commercial-free for all of our great readers and listeners the world over. Normally here I would say next week on the program, but actually you're going to get another episode of BOA Audio this week, because in years past we've had listeners who are not happy with the baseball special. They're not baseball fans. They don't listen to the program. And since we've been off the proverbial airwaves for over a month now, I want to make sure that the esoteric purists got their fair share of BOA Audio here in our big return week. So, later this week, probably Wednesday evening, maybe Thursday morning, you're going to get another edition of BOA Audio that is jam-packed with esoteric goodness for the non-baseball fans out there. We're going to have a special dual guest conversation with Bill and Nancy Burns of UFO Magazine and UFO Hunters. I envision this conversation as sort of a fly-on-the-wall look at ufology's power couple, and I've dubbed it Dinner with the Burnses. And it really is sort of a unique experience, as you'll kind of get the chance to feel what it would be like if you went out to dinner with Bill and Nancy Burns. I pretty much just ask a question and then get out of the way and let them play off of each other. It's really, really quite an entertaining conversation. We're going to find out about the demise of UFO Hunters and what seemed to go wrong as the program faded with a whimper instead of a bang. We're going to hear about Bill and Nancy's entrance into the world of ufology via the book The Day After Roswell. We'll get their perspective on today's world of UFO studies and tons more. The conversation goes down a whole series of different side roads and avenues. It's really a very organic edition of BOA Audio. It is a fun, fast, and fascinating glimpse behind the curtain with two of ufology's biggest power players, Bill and Nancy Burns. And then, in addition to that, rounding out the big 10 guests here for BOA Audio this week, we welcome Micah A. Hanks back to the program for a post-show stop and chat. A sort of mini interview tacked on to the end of the episode where he'll tell us all about his new book, Magic, Mysticism, and the Molecules. You want to definitely stick around for that as well. Bill and Nancy Burns, along with Micah A. Hanks later on in the program, coming at you on BOA Audio in a few short days. Stay tuned to that. It is a pure esoteric edition of BOA Audio for all our non-baseball fans out there. And for all the baseball fans, you're getting a double dose of BOA Audio this week. And on that note, we close the book on the 2010 BOA Audio Baseball Special. Once again, big thanks to all 7 of the guests who appeared on this year's festivities. It was bigger and better than ever, and I have all those great folks out there who joined us for the special to thank for that. As noted, you'll be hearing from me in a few days, so I'm just going to wrap it up here. Until next time, this is Tim Binnall, thanking you for listening and signing off.